And you're live.
Well,
That was
it's we.
And me. And him. And Richie got a haircut. And we're live.
That's better. Okay, cool. Yeah,
I feel
Richie
that, like,
saw how
everybody-
good the haircut looked on me, and he was like, I want to do that too.
Yeah,
I want to
sure.
match everyone on this stream.
Yeah,
We're all the
that
same.
was definitely the reason. I'm not going to argue. Yeah.
Welcome to the Lonely Buzz Cuts.
The lonely buzz cuts.
We'll be talking about hair. We'll be talking about haircuts on this fucking sold out show. I'll tell you that shit. Oh my god, some of the haircuts on those women. My god.
So, Richie, this episode is from your brain. This is your doing. So why don't you tell the people what we're doing?
So I think we'll start with NWO Souled Out. Or we were, I won the prediction, so we were like, so what pay-per-view would we watch? And yeah, I want to watch. Unfortunately, the pay-per-views that are most noteworthy sometimes are the bad ones or the car crash ones. And NWO Souled Out is one from the '90s that, like, I feel like, like everyone thinks like WCW and they think like 2000s being bad, but they still have some stinkers in the '90s, and this is one that stands out because this was meant to be like a regular thing for it. It was meant to be a regular thing for NWO to be its own brand, and that ended with this show because it was bad. And there's a lot to talk about in this show, so I opted for that, and also just talking, keeping it simple at the end, just talking about our favorite wrestlers. Talk about favorite wrestlers. Just get around the horn, and just keep it simple, and then maybe squeeze in news here and there. So all good.
Because we couldn't keep this all negative. We got to throw some positive in there because this. I just finished it. It took me 3 days. It took me 2 days to finish this. I fell asleep twice. Did not rewind it. I was like, I don't need to go back.
I had to watch the show over 2 parts too. I got like an hour and 10 minutes in the show. I was like, fuck, I need a break. I was like, my god, there's still like 4 matches left.
Which,
yeah,
on paper, some of these matches, it's like, no, I want to watch that. Like those sound like good matches.
Yeah,
but the show overall just,
yeah.
Have you ever wanted to see a dumpster fire?
We almost saw dumpsters in this thing. I'll talk about it in the intro. Sold Out. we're adjacent to dumpsters. It should have been a sign of things to come.
Yes. So Austin has said that he has plenty to say, so he is going to take the lead on our Sold Out discussion. So Austin, go for it.
NWO Sold Out 1997 from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, NWO country of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where, NWO just can't wait to go party in Cedar Rapids, Iowa after the show.
Like the great wrestling town of Cedar Rapids,
Cedar Rapids, not like Chicago, not New Orleans, not a party city, not Miami, not even New York, not where you can like think of like, oh, this is where like rebel NWO guys go. No, we're in corn country of Iowa. We're in a building that holds 5,000 people. So the show opens with like this video, and it's the video of the arrival of the NWO, and in a sign of things to come, they're all riding on the back of garbage trucks. Garbage trucks. I'm not making that up. Sean Waltman is hanging off a garbage truck, just yelling gibberish. Woo! NWO! Scott Hall is yelling. You can't hear anything. Like, I wanted to turn the subtitles on for this, see if the subtitles could pick up anything he was saying, but it was all just garbled nonsense. Woo! There's ambulance sirens going off. There's like police cars. They're all trying to ride in, looking cool again in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but like, it's just all nonsense. They get to the building, 45 guys walk into the building, all with NWO shirts on. There's so many dorks just walking around. It's like Hogan, Hall, Nash, and everybody else. And then this is where you should have known that like that this is like not a good idea. A bunch of these geeks walking into the ring, like walking into the building, just
This is also early NWO, so there'll be like within like by 2000. By 2000, there's fucking heaps of them. It's half the roster.
It's already half. It's already half the roster right now. Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
Only two I noticed from this intro, and we'll get to it later too, like the NWO parts. Man, they take their time with that intro. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, cool, they're setting kind of a mood," but then like it's not very like tightly edited. There's just long shots of like nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like, I remember you saying this might be a short pay-per-view. Yeah, if you fast forward through the bullshit, it probably is.
Yeah.
This long, like even this intro, I'm like, man, they could have chosen an editor or something to top this up.
Yeah.
And they stretched it out.
Yeah. They take this, they show the arena, they show like the stage, and to give them credit, the staging and all the stuff is pretty cool. Like the ring looks cool. It's all black ropes. It's like the canvas with the NWO thing on it. It's all black. It looks kind of industrial. It's pretty cool. They look like equipment cases set up everywhere. It's got like a grungy like rock show kind of feel. Like all this stuff is everywhere. Like it looks all right. Like for the stage.
I did feel bad for Eric Bischoff and Ted DiBiase having to sit on. Well, they didn't get a desk. They just sat on.
No, they're just like sitting on boxes. Like, what are we doing?
Straight up on a crate. Yeah. The look of it is cool, and the idea of it is actually kind of cool too. They even do some fun like camera things. Like they have some weird camera setups, and
we'll talk about that camera. Yeah, setup's not all bad, but it's weird because Bischoff and DiBiase come out to do commentary. DiBiase looks like he doesn't even know where he's supposed to sit. Like they didn't even rehearse anything. Like they didn't go over with him. He's like he takes forever to put his headset on. He's like looking around. Like, are we gonna sit in chairs? Like, where's the table? And then like Eric Bischoff just like props himself up on a box, and I guess he's like, all right, I guess we're doing it right here. Okay, all right, sounds good. There's like women everywhere sitting on motorcycles. They say later they're all hog owners. Like all these women, I guess, ride motorcycles.
This show was just a platform to demonstrate how much Eric Bischoff likes motorcycles.
Yes, like Road Wild, Hog Wild, going to Sturgis, yeah. But I mean, the show itself is weird. Like, who is this show for? If you stop and think about it, it's just is anybody going to pay to watch the supposedly cool heels like run their own show? Like the point of like I guess cheering for the heels is like they interrupt the regular show, but like when you give them their own show, they're like now they're running it, so they're going to be in charge of the whole show, and it's like who is this for?
And going in, like especially the first show, like like if you're a baby face, you kind of fucked. You're gonna lose. There's only a couple of times where a baby face actually won, and one match we'll get to. I don't even know if he was official baby face, but So it was I don't know. Yeah, like you go into it though. All heels going to win, and like what's the actual point? I know they want to establish another brand, but like. If the other brand was just heels versus heels versus heels versus, I don't know what the vision was for.
And also just storyline wise, are like they paying the WCW guys if there's a show? Like are they paying them fairly? Or did they fly them out to this show? Just to lose? It's just the whole setup when you start to like break it out and think about it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, they kind of start. Nick Patrick refs every match of the night, and he's not even wearing a ref shirt. He's just wearing an NWO shirt. He's wearing like an NWO hat. He's wearing like black jeans the whole time. Yeah. He's just out there. He comes out and refs every single match. To be fair, he screws up some spots throughout the show, but like if I had to remember 8 matches worth of shit too as a referee myself, that's a little difficult too with all the clusterfuck of all the matches to come. But like, it's weird. I don't really like heel refs, much less a heel ref for every single match. It's just odd, and then it creates weird things where it's like, why isn't he just disqualifying or fast counting every babyface that comes out immediately? Like, why are they even having matches?
If he refed like a heel, this whole show would be like about an hour long.
It should be, every time a guy gets a roll up, 1, 2, 3, over, like I count you out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like
he used a closed fist.
Yeah, he used a closed fist, you're disqualified, you know what I mean? Like that's the way it should be with like a heel ref, but he's like calling it fair for most of the show. It's weird, and with a few little spots, but anyways, we get to our first match, and by the way, all the WCW guys, they come out with zero music, which actually on this show I would have preferred because every other B Team geek comes out to the B Team song, which I hope you like that song. I hope you like that song because you're going to hear it about 19,000 times. Just, oh my God, over and over and over and over again. So yeah, they come out. They the announcer guy who has a weird voice craps on the WCW guys and like introduces. So it's Jericho versus Masahiro Chono. Chono representing NWO Japan. So yeah, it's I guess Jericho's playing a face here, even though he mostly plays a heel, just because he's a WCW guy. It's an interesting conundrum. But Richie or Jacob, what do you think about this match?
Like on paper, this match should be quite really good. Should be quite good. I like both guys a lot, but yeah, it was just a match. I don't know. It was fine. Again, it's hard to get into the actual matches because you probably know ahead of time, like, oh, well, the NWO member is probably going to win, and that's just like it was. It was okay. But yeah, again, as we go through the card, none of these like matches will like go, oh man, that was a classic. It was just a match, and these people, I think maybe under different parameters, like if it was just a normal like match on Nitro, they'd probably be able to have a proper good back and forth match, but it's just too many shenanigans, and I don't know if there's just a couple of spots that are off, kind of thing. I feel like they weren't on the same page sometimes, but I don't know. It was a match.
It was a match. No, I'll be saying that a lot tonight. It was a match. it was a match. Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, on paper, I want to see this match.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch the match at this show, and you're like, oh, okay. Could have been better. I didn't hate the match. Like I don't think there's anything necessarily like egregious about this match. I'd say, and this isn't saying much, but it's definitely one of the better matches on the card. But again, not saying much about this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there are just some things that were off, like that table. Like what? It's like this. Why? Like what's up with that table? It's not even
Japanese tables. Yeah.
And then
and also
I missed the part where this was a no DQ match and like tables were legal. Like
it's Nick Patrick, bro. Nick Patrick's letting it go. It's a heel referee. So no, I mean Jericho. If you look at it, when he goes to the table, he's got his hand behind him. His hand breaks the table immediately. So it's the table that's probably this wide. Interesting things during this match. So there was a portion where they had to just stall because the WCW guys came and sat in like the fifth row, and so the crowd was watching them for 5 minutes because it was Ming and Barbarian and Harlem Heat and Arn Anderson and Nasty Boys and a couple other guys like coming in and sitting down, which again is weird. Why wouldn't you just like kick them out if you're the NWO guys and it's your show? Shouldn't you just remove them from the building? I don't know. And it didn't
already got their money.
Well, and it didn't lead to anything. It's not like they jumped in the ring and had a brawl at the end of the night, which is probably what should have happened. They should have just jumped the ring and started beating on the B team guys, whatever, just to have something happen. And no, they just sit there the whole show, do nothing.
Because they did nothing. It's like, well, what again? Why would the WCW guys want to support an NWO show? We hate you guys so much. We'll support you. We will.
The show's nothing like All In, Jonathan. Sorry, nothing whatsoever. All In had good matches.
It proves that this NL. D-Day Snakes had its moments. I can't remember that much, but maybe we'll get to that eventually. I don't know. It was weird, because I don't know why would the WCW people want to like. You go, oh, okay, oh, cool. We'll support the show and just sit in the audience and just watch it. But we really hate these guys, and then we really despise that that potentially they could take over WCW and affect our jobs. But we will also we'll also make sure we get front row and watch the show and not get involved.
Yeah, take our money.
Yeah.
Wait.
So two other things of note. During the match, crowd starts chanting USA. Jericho's from Canada.
Right. Yeah.
So, USA because there's a Japanese guy in there and they don't realize that Jericho's from Canada. What's his name? Eric Bischoff's karate talk on commentary annoyed me throughout the night because Jericho literally just does an insecurity. And he calls it, quote, a jump back leg round kick. Like, fuck out of here. It's an Insiguri, bro. Chill.
Even right, karate terms, I don't know if that's what it was called. Anyway,
yeah.
Even if you're talking about karate, I don't know.
Yeah, that USA chant, and then they did. Didn't they? I think they did it twice.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah,
they just in USA. Yeah. I don't know. And then we got our first shots in this match of the boom mic camera with a fisheye lens, because what I want to watch when I watch my wrestling matches, I want to watch it through a peephole and a door, because that's what it looked like if you were watching it through a peephole in your door. Like, who thought that was a good idea? But they do it several times throughout the show. They cut to this camera on this boom mic, and you just can't see a damn thing. It's on a fisheye lens. I don't know what they were thinking there. Oh, we're being edgy and weird. No, it's just bad stuff.
Just weird.
Yeah. I don't know if JP is with us. If he wants to give his thoughts on this match, he must have run off. But if not, we'll move on to the next one. So we got our first glimpse of some of the Miss NWO contestants after this with Jeff Katz. Jeff Katz was a total dork with sunglasses. And if you don't know who Jeff Katz is, you're probably correct in that. But he was a radio guy for a while. And actually, fun fact, I looked him up. He went on to be a producer for New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
He produced Freddy versus Jason and X-Men Orange's Wolverine, and later went on to produce Deadpool and Blade Trinity. He produced movies, which is weird. So yeah, weird dude. So Snakes on a Plane. Yeah, I wrote some of them down, but he went on to become a movie producer.
All right. I'd say it makes sense that he produced, Origins, but then you mentioned Deadpool, so I mean,
yeah,
he's got some good stuff to his name as well.
Yeah, so he goes around. Like I said, there's these women. There's these fives sitting on motorcycles, and every time it's just him being a dork, just walking up to him and going, "Hey, ladies, so if you were to be in the locker room with Kevin Nash, what would you do to him?" And every stereotypical answer is these women have no improv skills. They just go, "Whatever, anything you want." Just no creativity. They don't know. Yeah, I guarantee they didn't know they were going to be on camera. They probably didn't even know they were going to be on camera. Yeah.
I mean, it gets worse when yeah, they probably didn't know they were going to kiss Eric Bischoff either.
Oh my God, we'll talk about that. We'll get there to the culmination. But I told JPO while you're gone, I want one of you guys to help me reenact one of the interactions later with the older lady who can't hear. So we'll talk about that when they get to her. But I think they get to her in the next segment. But yeah, literally the second woman has a full-on mullet, dude mullet. Do you remember this? She had the full on party on top, party in the back, total mullet. It was the same thing. What would you do to Scott Hall? And it's just anything you want. Okay. Oh man, these ladies are crazy. I'm gonna go take a cold shower. It's this all night. It's terrible. And after every match they come back to it, it's bad. So we got our first taste of that. We move on to our mean guy match of the night. And which is billed as a Mexican death match with two non-Mexicans.
Because why not?
There's two non-Mexicans, and it's the tamest Mexican death match I've ever fucking seen.
I didn't even know it was a Mexican death match till halfway through, and Nick Patrick is counting them out. It's basically a last man standing match, but you wouldn't know that because they didn't really tell you. But it's tie-dye Hugh Morris versus Big Bubba, aka Big Boss Man, which I forgot he was in WCW at this time. Completely forgot, and much less forgot he was in the NWO. So yeah, it's basically a last man standing match. So, oh boy, what you guys think? Yeah.
Why is it Mexican? I don't understand.
Mexican death match. I don't know.
Yeah, this match is also just weird. Two guys that I don't really like. They don't really. I mean, obviously Bubba's a heel, and Hugh Morris is not this beloved kind of big dude. So it's no one cared about the match. It was. I don't know. Again, it was just a weird match to have. If they do 1-on-1, that's fine. Yeah, they just had a Mexican. They just did death match to do a death match, but it wasn't anyway. I was the most tame shit ever, and very forgettable again.
There's literally a sequence in this match where they're just low blowing each other for 5 minutes. It's low blow, low blow, low blow, low blow, low blow. I swear there's 20 low blows in this match. They're just using chains. The first 2 or 3 minutes wasn't bad because they were just kind of brawling around and hitting each other really hard. And it really wasn't like terrible at the start because they were just having like this brawl and it was okay. And then they just get in the ring. Like I said, I think they just got totally lost. They're just low blowing each other, just hitting each other with shit. They're just doing nothing. Like Hugh Morris hits a moonsault at one point, and then Nick Patrick doesn't want to count, and it's just like it's just like it just goes on way too long.
I understand, like if you do that, like it's through one match, but like it just gets tiresome every time. Oh yeah, Nick Patrick's not going to count. Hey, he's a heel ref, of course not going to count. And just
Yeah.
You guys remember how I told you? You guys remember how I told you I fell asleep?
Oh, you started to fall asleep.
It was this early that I started to fall asleep. And
yeah.
I saw maybe the entrances and the first couple minutes and just.
Well, eventually the match breaks down to they start brawling up the ramp. They're playing around on the ramp, and then Big Bubba gets on one of the motorcycles, starts it up, and runs over Hugh Morris. And that was the finish. He runs over Hugh Morris on the motorcycle. They run back to the ring. Which again, if it's a Mexican death match, why do they have to run back to the ring? Why can't you just count them out right there? But they run back to the ring. Nick Patrick does a fast count, which he should have done the entire time, and fast counts 10 count and counts out Hugh Morris, and the match is over. Again, dog shit, wretched, fucking horrible. Terrible.
Because apparently only in wrestling, pro wrestling is attempted murder. Legal.
Yeah, but it's okay. It was signed a contracted match.
It was that's legal. Like no ramifications if he died. It's fine. It was all in the parameters of the match. It's good.
Yeah.
I love how. Sorry, not to interrupt, but I'm. Okay. So on Peacock, it just once one pay-per-view ends, they just go to the next one in the series, and so I got 98 on in the background, and they felt the need to they felt the need to put phone number no longer active over the WCW hotline.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's also illegal.
You try to call it
if you call it exactly, and it's somebody else's number, then get in trouble.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, Jordan, what did you think of the first two matches? We talked about them a little bit. The Chono and Jericho, Hugh Morris and Big Bubba. Any thoughts on those?
I had higher hopes for that first one. I thought it was going to maybe kind of start off with a bang. It was kind of fine, a little bit slower. And you start, of course, you start off already with the whole, like you kind of already mentioned, like Patrick like kind of screwing him, not like hardcore screwing him to keep the match going. So you're already starting off like, oh, this is how it's going to be, huh? So it was just okay. And same thing for the second one. Some moments actually that weren't too bad and kind of creative, but overall just kind of okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, not much to talk about after that. We moved on to our third match. Richie, do you watch Ring of the Hawk?
Watch what? Sorry.
Ring of the Hawk on YouTube. The guy who says like it or I'll slap you one, things like that. That guy, like those videos.
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're good videos. He reviews like people who didn't last very long and really review all their matches. He did a Braden Walker video that was great. But anyways, anytime Jeff Jarrett pops up in one of his retrospectives, he goes, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, a wild slap nuts appears. And so I just went through my match when next Jeff Jarrett came out. Oh my God, there's a wild slap nuts, and I always forget what periods he was with WCW and what periods he was with WWF because it all just blends. Because I swear to God, it'd be 1 minute he would be in WCW, next minute he'd be on Raw again, then he'd be back in WCW. I swear I can't keep up with where he was.
I think this is before he left. He left the first time, and I think he only lasted like maybe less than a year, and then so he went to WWE. But then like he comes back about 1999 after that match with China, that housekeeping match. It goes, he wanted to, he fought like Vince over money and it's like I'm only going to drop the title if you give me this money, and then for a long time after that, WWE did their best not to mention him because and literally fired him on live TV and then the WCW. But this was when this is the early time in WCW, but I totally forgot that. Honestly, until watching it, I forgot that he even had this run.
Him and Bulldog had like those quick those
quick runs back and forth. But So I couldn't keep up. So anyways, it's Jeff Jarrett versus Michael Wall Street, who I completely forgot was in the NWO. I have no memory of this. It's fucking IRS. in the NWO, and I guess if storyline wise, you say, well, we need a guy to do our taxes as the NWO. Well, all right, I guess IRS is as good a guy as any, but it's freaking Michael Wall Street versus Jeff Jarrett in the most boring match you ever saw in your life. just a nothing match. The whole thing is the most interesting thing is they keep cutting back to Mongo and Deborah, who would get involved in the match later, and Jeff Jarrett would kind of flirt with Deborah and stuff. But yeah, but WCW guys got their first win of the night here as Mongo threatened to hit Nick Patrick with a briefcase and made him count the pin. So there you go. I guess it's something. But I don't know. What do you guys think of this?
After he hits Wall Street in the back with it, like if there's ever a time to call it disqualification,
right,
and you would be in the right to do so, it was that moment, and you don't.
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's again, like this is what I was talking about referencing before. It's like, yeah, it was, going into it, the baby faces are kind of fucked, but like Jeff Jarrett is like, it's hardly a baby face at this point. He's like the most annoying dude ever.
It's hard to care about anyone in this match, and they don't do a great job of making you care.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't root for anybody in this match. I think they're all heels. Like at this point, the Horsemen. This is part where he's trying to join the Horsemen. They're heels. It says like, but now it's like the invasion thing where like if all of a sudden all the WWE guys were baby faces out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to care about you now. All right, cool. Just because you're versing like an enemy territory. Yeah, this match is boring. I've never been a huge IRS guy. He's a decent character, I guess, but his in-ring work is I find him boring. And he also I don't know if you know, like,
who else finds him boring? Himself. I showed him a Ring of Honor DVD of his shoot interview, and he was kind of confused, like, when did I wrestle for Ring of Honor? I'm like, no, it's just a shoot interview, Mike. He didn't remember it. He was like confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like, I mean, I don't know, like he didn't do it so much, but like that dude has all his career had like an issue with sweating. Holy shit, dude!
Sweating all over the place.
Dude, it's understandable. The WWF, the dude's wearing a fucking shirt and
tie.
Yeah. It's like, man, go to a doctor or something, man. The way the amount you sweat is not normal.
You leave us sweaty people alone, sir.
Yeah, I know. But like, okay. But like, I think after this too, he'd become. Yeah. I think after this, he'd become VK Wall Street, which is very subtle. Vincent Kennedy. I'm just
so subtle.
Which is weird because they also already have a Vincent in their group, and so it's like, well,
they really like that joke. They really like that inside joke that they did it twice.
So yeah, this match is boring as shit, and cool. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's a good wrestler and everything, and he's a decent worker, but. I didn't care about this match at all.
Well, and neither did the crowd because they were sitting on their hands by this point in the thing. It's like they were starting to regret the decision to go to the show.
Care? Why would the crowd care?
Why would you care? There's no reason to care 3 matches in about this show, at all. So yeah, I don't know. Jacob, Jordan, you guys got anything about this match at all?
Y'all kind of pretty much sized it up. Yeah, no, there's nothing much to say here.
Yeah. Okay, so they went back to the NWO Miss NWO women. And to give them credit, there was like one girl that was like kind of hot, the one blonde with the big fake boobs. Like it was okay. Like she was
solid 7.5.
Yeah, it was one solid 7.5 woman on the stage. She was all right.
Oh, for like that time period, she was a solid 8 or 9. I feel like she's
definitely
that he's hot.
But I want to talk about the one after that when they start getting to the literal grandmothers on the stage who are like in their 60s. And he goes to interview and you're baffled. There's one woman that I swear is 68 years old and she's sitting there. And this is where I said, can one of you guys play Jeff Katz for a minute? And all you got to do is ask a generic risque NWO question. So,
well, what would you do if Scott Hall asked you to be in his locker room?
Pardon?
In the locker room, if a wrestler asked you out on a date, what would you say?
I'm sorry, what? Pardon?
A wrestler, you know what? We're just gonna move on to the next one.
That's literally what happened. My reenactment is accurate.
You got so many girls that don't know how to improv or hear, just in general.
They can't even hear the damn questions.
I will give Jeff Katz props though for like
He tried.
He did try. Like he rolled with that as good as anyone could. I feel.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like you mentioned, there's a couple of cute girls, and then there's grandmas and like kind of funky women. So like, what was the joke? Was there like were they in on the joke? Did they even know what the joke was? Why?
I don't know because to spoil the ending, the winner sits on a toilet.
Yeah, so they knew what they were doing, but then why did they have a hot chick in there though? And why 10? Did we need that one long ass sequence of and here's Miss Sarah, here's Miss Julie?
Oh my, we'll get to that. That's later. Oh my god,
they didn't have enough content to fill 3 hours, so they had to fucking stretch it, and so they had to get 10. We had to get 10 women.
But they got to her after the next segment. But the literal other old woman that was on the other side of the stage, it was literally the same thing. Jeff Katz was doing his dumb sleazy questions, and she literally was like, "What? I can't hear you, huh? What?" And it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Really, really bad.
Just give them a line.
Just give them a line to say. Yeah.
Let them know what's up. Let them give some time to think.
Because I swear they didn't tell them what to do. They had no idea they were going to be asked questions.
They had no idea.
No clue.
No idea about the questions. Later on, there's like the one girl that wouldn't leave in the middle. Like, no, they never knew what was going on. You know? Like, yes, I would. Great.
Yeah.
Great content.
We'll get to the actual final pageant thing or whatever. But I just wanted to comment on that one because that was the most hilarious. Pardon? What?
Speak up, Sonny. I can't hear you. On this
what's that?
I swear they forgot that this was a thing and went to like the local Target that day and was like, "Who wants to be on February?"
Yeah, who wants to be on? I forgot about that. Well, and there's no strip clubs in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, so we couldn't get any strippers. So I guess
Cedar Rapids, Iowa, when you're being accompanied by the Dallas Cowboys for whatever reason.
Yeah, why are they in Cedar Rapids, Iowa? I don't know. because Jacob, it's 1997 and Eric Bischoff is blowing Ted Turner's money left and right, and we're just buying everything. We're using helicopters for things and monster trucks and just spending money on shit. So,
it must have been because the Cowboys weren't busy because apparently the Packers and Patriots were playing in the Super Bowl that year.
Oh.
So the Cowboys were like, "Oh, we're not doing anything.
We're not doing nothing again." Yeah.
So we won all our Super Bowls 10 years ago.
We'll give this to Jeff Katz. He's a lot more tolerable than Bubba the Love Sponge.
I actually didn't mind him. Actually, I did not.
Yeah, yes.
It sucked, but
would you prefer Jeff Katz or Todd Pettingale?
I like Todd Pettingale.
I like Todd Pettingale. I still want him back in the next game.
Anyways, so we get to our next match where the American males collide. It's Scottie Riggs versus Buff Bagwell. Yes. Yeah. So and now up to this point, to be fair, this was probably the best match on the show up to this point because it was two competent wrestlers having a pretty decent match. The problem was it goes like 5 minutes too long. Like this match is like 15 minutes and should be like 8-9 minutes tops. They go way too long to where the crowd doesn't care anymore. But not a bad match up to this point. This would have been a really good Nitro match. If this had been on Nitro, it'd be like a pretty good match. So pay-per-view match, no. But competent. Both guys, I love Buff Bagwell here in like 1997, 1988 before he breaks his neck because he's so proud of himself. It's great. He just loves himself and he's proud of himself and, he can't wait to just do his dumb poses and tell everybody how great he is. And he's a lot of fun to watch. So I'll at least say that. So this match is at least watchable. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I think Scottie Riggs is underrated worker. Like
I did shows with him in Georgia. I knew him for a while. Yeah. He used to come into my Publix, actually. He lived in Jacksonville. He used to come to my store all the time. I used to talk to him. So I knew Scottie Riggs for a little while. He's a cool guy.
He's pretty damn good wrestler. I thought maybe he should have got more of a push than he actually did. Because I think he all his matches are pretty damn good. And this was this would be considered a sort of a compared to all the rest of the card. This is probably it would be considered like a Meltzer 5-star classic. It's a good match, but it drags a little bit. But these two work together. They should do the tag match. But I love Bagwell here. So best match on the show, but that's not saying much. I don't know. I really give it a 3-star. I don't know. It's good. But yeah.
You got a banger of a show and you're like, this may be a 3-star match. MOTY, maybe. MOTY.
The best match on the show was Scottie Riggs versus Buff Bagwell. Man, that must have been a shit show. Yeah.
No, I'm with you guys, man. This is a fun era for Buff, really kind of coming out and showing his stuff here.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And but no, like, it really is a fun era for him, and I mean, like, yeah, Riggs is a very capable, I think, kind of opponent to go off of. We kind of see why he kind of plateaued to a degree here, but I thought this was actually a good. I'll even argue this should be on a pay per view. It's a good, kind of showcase match for Buff. I will agree they could have timed up, maybe timed him a little bit here, and that's with a lot of these matches that they could have just timed it a little bit more, and it would have been a better show here. So. Decent match actually, yeah. Like I was happy to see. I didn't even necessarily remember if these two ever did feud until this came on. So I was like, oh, okay, so they did kind of fight after their males tag team partnership.
Right. Yeah, Jacob.
Breaking news: if you want to, at the end of the show, to do an unboxing, my pro wrestling crate just arrived. That was just knock at the door. So
unboxing.
Oh, okay.
Unboxing. No, I'll agree with everything that was said. Decent match, even if it did go a little bit too long. And yeah, worthy. Like I could see this being on a normal pay-per-view, I could see this being a solid opener. So I mean, it's definitely worthy of a.
This is like a good second or third match. You have like the hot cruiserweight opener. These guys having a decent mid-card match. Yeah, on a better show overall, you'd be like, oh, this is another pretty decent match on a pretty good show. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but it stands out on this one because you're like, oh, two guys having a decent wrestling match. It's not bad, and it's like whatever. So it stands out on this show. On any other show that had better matches than this, it'd just be kind of lost in the shuffle, much like Scottie Riggs would get lost in the shuffle of the Ravens flock very, very soon and would just kind of be a guy, just roaming around.
They're on my TV right now.
Oh, are they? Yeah. Is Riggs got his eye patch in the background just standing around? Yeah.
Sick boy.
I can't say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Raven and Chris Benoit.
Van Hammer. Yeah.
Sick boy. Lodi.
Who's the big guy? The big giant guy?
Reese.
Reese. Yeah, the big 7-foot guy who never did anything. Yeah. Reese. Anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother story for another thing. So we then got a match that could have been really good and kind of starts out the first few minutes as being pretty good. DDP versus Scott Norton. So they come out and I go, oh, I kind of perked up. I was like, oh, DDP is a good worker. Norton's a big scary dude who can do some fun stuff. Like, this is probably going to be all right. I forgot about this. And the problem is it starts out like the first couple minutes as a pretty good match. They're having a little brawling, some good spots. Norton's throwing them all over the place. And then it just breaks down, no finish because the NWO comes out right in the middle of the match to recruit DDP. And it's just like, and then
again.
Yeah, again, which they've been trying to do, I guess, a couple of times. DDP fakes like he's going to accept it. Then he shakes Scott Norton's hand, pulls him in, diamond cutters him, runs away, and the match just doesn't. Match is still going on because it never ended. So, or I think technically, I'm sorry, Nick Patrick counted out DDP. He says it in the camera. Count out win for Scott Norton. No. But yeah, so what could have been a really good match turns into nothing, and yeah. Yeah,
it's almost like there's a directive not to have like any noteworthy great matches. It's like, DDP and Scott Norton on paper, it's gonna be a good match, so we can't have that.
Nope, we'll be having that shit on this show. Nope.
Yeah, we can't kind of that shit. We didn't feature out any cruiserweights because why would we? They'd steal the show. No, it's I don't know. Yeah, this match would have been good, but yeah, you have to do that NWO. It's one thing on Nitro to do that end up there. But then to do it nearly every match on your pay per view, it's like, God damn it. Just let people have a match sometimes. This is a total Nitro angle. This is an angle you would see on Nitro. Having a match, have it break down on Nitro, so it's no big deal. It's just on TV. Breakdown, and they do an angle. But yeah, this is a pay-per-view match, and or do this after the match. Maybe DDP beats Scott Norton, and they go, "Oh, wow, he just beat Big Bad Scott Norton. Oh, yeah, you should be with the NWO."
Have a finish.
Have a finish. Like, we can't beat Scott Norton. Like, really? We can't. I like Scott Norton, but like, we can't beat Scott Norton, who's just like an NWO B-team guy, like whatever. Like, it's not going to hurt his career. Like, you could have had DDP beat him. They come out to recruit him, and then he run. Diamond Cutter somebody and runs away. Like he could have done the exact same thing with a finish. And it's just, but I guess with Nick Patrick there, he wouldn't have counted anyway. So whatever, it's all for nothing. But yeah, silly.
Yeah, not much more to say for me because like you said, it's a very WCW ending that kind of leaves you unfulfilled. And yeah, the match has potential. I like both dudes, but like even DDP's again another one where like he's kind of healing it up too. So it's like again, I'm not really totally invested, and so yeah, this is like you said, it's a Nitro angle put on this pay-per-view.
No, him when he was starting to do some stuff where he was messing around with the NWO, that was the start of his babyface turn. Because he was still kind of doing his heel character, coming out with like the cigars and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. But there's still a tinge of like.
But right after this, soon after this, he would beat Randy Orton, or not Randy Savage, when he put on the La Parka stuff, and then he'd beat Randy Savage in the ring and pull off his mask, and like that was kind of his big babyface turn. And the crowd popped.
And he got very over. Like he was one of the most.
He got very, very over after that. So yeah, it was pretty good. So yeah, not bad. Jacob, anything or not much to say.
No, this whole show is just wasted potential.
Yeah,
just wasted, and like you can see it because DDP is a good worker, and you could have had a decent match here, but you ran the whole let's recruit DDP angle again, and that's a Nitro thing. Like have the finish be a clean finish. DDP goes over, and then maybe the next night or even after the match, like you were saying, try to recruit him again. But it's like, why rehash it?
Yeah. So just whatever.
I'll say this throughout the show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I put you through that. I'm sorry to put you through that.
No. I liked watching this because, like I said, I have a lot to say. It's just there's some really boring stuff on the show. Like I had some stuff that was a slog to get through, but not for a lack of things to say about it. You know what I mean? So it's a very infamous show, but for a reason. So sometimes you got to do those bad shows, man. I would say if I had picked one of my Russo shows, it would probably be more entertaining in a bad way. Just because at least like no matches would be longer than 3 minutes. There'd be 90,000 things going on. There's just going to be 100 million things to talk about. But yeah, this one's just every match that they do. It's just kind of, takes a dive. But speaking of that, so we finally get some stars on this show, kind of, you know what I mean? So we do get the Steiners come out, and the crowd's into the Steiners because they're the Steiners, and they know that somebody's going to get their ass beat. So they start to perk up a little bit. And then, we get the outsiders. We get Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, I guess, defending their titles. They said they were NWO champions. Were they WCW champions or NWO? I don't know.
They were WCW champions, and they just changed to
NWO champions. Yeah, so at least they perked up because we didn't hear the B team music. We heard the real NWO music. So I think the crowd was finally glad to just hear that. So and something different. This is another one that's like it's too long because they start out really good. The Steiners are throwing Scott, especially when the Steiners were in there with Scott Hall, it was good because Scott Hall's a good worker. Steiners are good workers, and they were working, they were bumping, they were selling, having a good time. And then every time Kevin Nash got in there, he goes in there, does his 6 moves of doom, his knees in the corner, his elbows in the corner, his side slams, and it's just they put the heat on Rick. They put the heat on Rick for an hour and a half, and then do 8,000 moves to him, and then before Scott Steiner gets the hot tag. He comes in, drops Kevin Nash right on his head with a T-bone suplex, he kills him with a suplex. But then, they actually had some stuff where Nick Patrick got bumped. Randy Anderson was in the front row. He jumps in. They do like a pin thing on Nash and the Steiners. It's not going to stick, but the Steiners walk away with the titles, at least for a little bit, and the crowd popped and got into something, and it was exciting. Something kind of exciting happened on the show, and it was all right. So, this wasn't terrible, but, the match itself was kind of, had its ups and downs, but at least the crowd got into it, and there was something happening. So, what'd you guys think about this one?
Yeah, this is one of the better matches on the show, probably because of all the people involved, but and then the crowd were actually into it. It's sort of one reason why I like the Steiners. They just kick your ass, and maybe sometimes to the danger of their opponents. Because that T-bone suplex was nasty. But But and like just I'm pretty sure they get stripped of the titles like literally the on Nitro.
I'm sure because they're like, oh, this won't stand, and it'll be a whole thing where Nick Patrick was our sanctioned referee for the evening, and Randy Anderson was not working that evening, so that pin did not count, and we take the titles back. But at least for a minute, the crowd was happy because some baby faces went over for a minute.
Faced one, and then they got one over on the NWO.
Yes.
Cool. You'd think, oh, cool, maybe it'll swing in the right direction where baby faces who will be out with the NWO. No, that doesn't have. This was a good good. Like, enjoy your baby face win where you can because I'm not gonna get them. But this was fine for what it was. Yeah, it wasn't like I think these two teams could have a better match, but on this match,
anytime it was the Steiners with Scott Hall in there was pretty good. And anytime it was Nash in there just slogging around, it was not too good. So one of those things. You could fast forward this match. When you see Scott Hall get the tag in, watch it because then it's good. Anytime Nash does in, fast forward. And then just so there you go. Jacob, what do you think?
Remember when I said I fell asleep?
Did you fall asleep during the heat of this match that lasted 45 minutes?
I think I fell asleep right before this match actually started.
Gotcha.
I think it was during because Peacock. I have the Peacock. That I don't know if there's an ad-free version, but I don't have the ad-free version, and so because it came free with my Xfinity cable and internet, so I don't have to pay for it. And the way the show had gone up to this point, I was like, is it worth rewinding? I know the people involved are like talented in their names, but is it worth rewinding and going back to?
No, you're probably all right.
I didn't.
You're okay. So that happened, but at least there was something relatively exciting, for at least one of the matches. So that was all right. So we then had a ladder match for the United States Championship, 6, aka X-Pac versus Eddie Guerrero.
Actually, this was the best match of the show. I should say.
It probably was. Yeah, overall. I mean, these two guys worked their asses off for a show that didn't matter. that's for sure. I mean, by today's standards of ladder matches, because so many people have done so many nutty things, with ladders. It's nothing super over spectacular, but it was a really solid ladder match with two guys fighting to get up the ladder and doing some good spots and bumping their asses off and doing some cool things and X-Pac throwing his kicks around and doing fun. Eddie Guerrero was always, he was a great mover around this time. He was really quick and fun. But it wasn't a bad little match. Just had a weird finish. We'll talk about it, but it had a weird finish. But yeah.
I think the highlight of the match was like was it 6? They did a drop kick when he was halfway up the ladder. It was like a half enziguri, half drop kick thing. But yeah, they were both standing on the ladder, and he does that, and then he bumps, and then Eddie takes a bump off the back. Yeah, that was a good spot. That was a really good spot. That was amazing. I was like, holy shit.
The fact that X-Pac didn't kill himself and he landed pretty perfectly just on his stomach on the way down, like it was pretty good. Shows that dude's talented, man. And yeah, he was hitting Eddie Guerrero with kicks early in the match. It looked great. Little planches here and there. I mean, they were, again, nothing super, super big, a couple of ladder bumps here and there, but it was a good match. Yeah, it was probably the best match on the show to this point. I think this match even made like one of those WCW DVDs, like the Rise and Fall of WCW or something like that. I mean, it was on those compilations. Yeah, it's a good little match.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to agree 100%. Good match. And the finish, I mean, we're fighting over the title, and then I did not like the commentary about Eddie Guerrero hitting him with a towel. Like, since when were there rules in ladder matches?
Yeah,
like,
so what?
Like, I understand heel commentary, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
Well, to clarify, the finish is they're fighting over the title to get it down. They're doing it back and forth. I think the idea was that Eddie was supposed to hit him with the title. X-Pac would fall off. He would be triumphant standing on the ladder with the title. Unfortunately, when he fell off, Eddie also dropped the title, so it dropped into the belly of Sean Waltman. So Eddie had to scramble down, snatch the title, and run away. so yeah, it was very strange. Because technically, if it landed on him, I've seen matches where that happens. So shouldn't he have won? I've seen like TNA matches where that happens. I don't know, but
I feel like Eddie Guerrero is cursed with ladder matches sometimes. Like, you had that with the weird spot. You had I think there was a Raw match in 2002 where he had a match with RVD.
Yeah.
And a fan gets in the ring and he kicks the shit out of him.
And then he had all the problems with the Ray match, the Dominic thing, like that match.
Yeah, Vicky Guerrero missed it. Yeah, Vicky Guerrero missed a few, and he just went off and fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only one where he didn't was there was like a 3-way tag ladder match on like one of the Judgment Days or something. It was like Eddie and Tajiri versus like the Ben, or it was like Benoit and Tajiri versus like the Guerreros and like Edge. I don't know. It was some kind of
it was Eddie Guerrero and Tajiri versus World Greatest Tag Team. I think.
Yeah, something like that. But that's a decent one that didn't have anything go wrong. So he's had one. But yeah, it's but it was definitely the best match up to this point, and other than the wonky finish, I think it was pretty damn good, and the crowd got into this one too, because they were working hard and having a good time. So I mean, there was at least these two matches, some things happened. Crowd was getting a little more excited. Things were all right, and then the rest of the show would just take a complete belly flop off the cliff, and not good. So because right after this match, we got our culmination of our Miss NWO competition. And oh boy, they line these lovely, lovely ladies up. And Eric Bischoff and Jeff Katz come down there they literally introduced every single one of them, put stats on the thing for them. It's like, 5'2", so-and-so, she likes playing chess or whatever the hell it had on the screen, and they stand there, they don't know what to do every time they bring them up, so they awkwardly either dance to the music or just kind of stand there until they move on. Luckily, there were not too many more questions, although Eric Bischoff did a weird thing where he's like, I'm going to ask these ladies a question in their ear so nobody can hear. I'm going to whisper something, and they're going to whisper it back, and that's how I'm going to break the tie. And then in the middle of this, he's on the mic just spouting nonsense. Oh, NWO, what a great night. Shut the fuck up and get to it. Jesus, it takes forever. He just talks forever and ever and ever. And they finally crown Miss NWO, one of the two 68-year-old grandmothers, wins the crown. She awkwardly walks down to the ring and around the ring and back up and sits on her toilet throne. Literally, if you think I'm making that up, she sits on the toilet with her sash and wins the competition. This is one of the worst segments ever. This is total wrestle crap of the year kind of stuff. It's awful. It's horrendous, but it's worth seeing. It was such a train wreck that it's almost worth seeing at least once. So
he makes out with her, and it's the weirdest.
He makes out with the old lady. Yes, yes. He makes out with the grandmother. Yeah.
Was he expecting that to happen? That's funny.
No, I don't think so. She just went with it because we're on camera. Yeah, it's very, very bad. Very bad.
What's the overall point of that? You never see her again. Like, I don't understand what's the overall point. It's just like to do an anti beauty pageant thing, and then after the show, it's like it never happened. It's like, I don't know. Like, why didn't you just get like, I understand you want to do an anti-beauty pageant thing, but why couldn't you just hire like actors and stuff? You know what I mean? Like, why can't you?
Or if you're going to do a Miss NWO thing, just go the other way. Do a full-on like hot women pageant, because at least the crowd might be into that. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you do that with have some of the workers out there and like, oh, the winner of Miss NWO gets to like be an NWO member for the evening, go hang out with all these buff wrestlers, whatever, because we're the NWO, we got the hottest women everywhere we go. Like, you play into that, instead of this just like, oh, and Eric Bischoff literally says, oh, we brought all these ladies in because they all live in Cedar Rapids. We didn't have to pay for their hotel rooms or their flights. It's just, he flat out just says that in this thing.
It's like, but if you're an NWO, if you're a cool group, you'd want to betray the fact that, oh yeah, we're so cool, we're so awesome, we could get tens and stuff, and then
we can get any women we want, and then it's like, oh, this is what you got. Maybe y'all are geeks.
But we settle for grandmothers for some reason. I guess because it's funny, but it doesn't make this whole show was, I think, designed to make NWO look cool and look edgy, and they just felt cool. Like
they look like dorks.
They felt like dad. Like NWO for a lot of time felt like dads trying to be cool, and just like it's not. It wasn't cool. It was just weird and awkward. Like, you could have even you don't. like just do a thing with the Nitro girls or whatever. You know, you got hot women on your roster. Just have Kimberly Page go out there. I don't know, do something.
Just say, hey, we're gonna bring the Nitro girls out. The winner of this competition will be the NWO Nitro girl or whatever. You know, be like, we'll take her and she'll be like our Nitro girl or whatever, something. You know, anything, and just do something different. Like this was ridiculous. It was terrible. It's wretched. Whatever synonym you want to work with, it's bad. And this is where the show just it never. I mean, not like it was bad, like good in the first place, but it never recovered. This match is bad. So yeah, and then we got to our lovely main event. It was every match you ever saw between these two guys, or every WCW main event you ever saw. It's Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the champion, versus the Giant. Back when the Giant was doing elbow drops off the top rope, which he attempts in this match, it was insanity.
Standing 7'4".
Yeah, 7'4", 480 pounds, whatever they build him as. Yeah, Hogan. I'll say this: the crowd was at least again into it because these are two stars, so they were at least into it as mediocre as it was, or as underwhelming as it was. At least the crowd was there. They were having fun with it, and when Giant kind of loses it at the end and starts choke slamming everybody in sight, the crowd was into it because hey, look, this one guy's beating up all these idiots, and he's choke slamming everybody in sight. Cool, we like that. We like when big guy beats up 20 guys, and then the match just ends. There's no finish because 20 dudes run in there just like every other Nitro, every other pay-per-view. 20 NWO guys in there, beat him up, spray paint him. Hogan plays with his belt, and they go off the air. It's just awful. Awful. The same thing you've seen in every one of these matches. Terrible.
Yeah.
It's it was
pass.
Yeah.
It was it was just like it was nothing. It was just like and then like I don't know, like you couldn't. I don't know, like I don't even know what to just say about the match. So it's like but this was like when it was surprising how I will say the if you watched like the Giant from when he came into like even like less than a year like that guy got good very quickly.
Yeah.
Like that dude like already had it, and he had good mic skills. He was already one of the big men. Like there's clips of him doing a missile drop kick. Like holy fucking shit.
Jesus, yeah.
Just like but so like but like I don't know, like again you're not gonna, and with all of Giant's abilities, you're not gonna see him showcase it in a match with Hulk Hogan because you're gonna wrestle a Hulk Hogan match, and it was pretty bad. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like surely you could do like I don't know. Like, I mean, like wasn't this around the time when Lex Luger won the title as well? Like why didn't you could do like maybe that I don't know. Like I maybe have I don't know, have Luger inserted in the match somehow. I don't know. Just like because even though I wasn't a big fan of Lex Luger, I really like.
Well, what you're talking about happened on Nitro. It didn't even happen on a pay-per-view. They had Lex Luger beat Hulk Hogan on a Nitro. He didn't even beat him on a pay-per-view and sell some tickets. Like it just happened on a random Monday night. And it's just weird. Like you could have had Giant somehow go over here again. Maybe shenanigans, just like the Steiners, and they strip him of the title the next night. But what you could have done is something similar. You could have had all those WCW guys that were sitting in the fifth row, all those, Harlem Heat and Ming and all those guys, run in, after, Giant starts getting attacked, the NWOs come out, the WCW guys come in to make the save because they're sitting right there, maybe clear the ring, and maybe they have another referee with them, Randy again or Charles Robinson or somebody, have them jump in. They kill Hogan, he pins him, they steal the title, and you have an angle where the NWO has to get back the title they feel they lost or whatever. You could set it up for the next night, do something. But instead, it's every other finish you ever saw where the NWO guys run out there. It's a clusterfuck. The show just ends, and fans pelt the ring with garbage. The same finish every single time.
Yeah, but it's just like you see the WCW guys out there. They
could have done something with that.
And they're just like, oh no, should we get in there? No, I'll just watch the show. Yeah. we'll just be, like we're employed wrestlers, but tonight we're fans. So we're fans. We can't get in the ring. We're not allowed to get in the, you're not allowed to get in the ring. But just like, that would have, like again, you had like one match, there was like two matches people. With the babyface one where it was like, people gave a shit. I don't, so it's just like, I don't know. It's like you definitely, I don't know. This could have been like a even though he didn't win, it could have been like a bigger star making performance for the Giant. But it's like, no, it's just like and then like I think they would have a match. I don't know if this was before that. They'd have a match at Hog Wild or something, which is boring as well. Just like, I don't know, man. It's just like, it was just one of those things where it's like, with WCW, they also just like these sort of larger than life sort of characters, but like, but for the most part, a lot of them, like Hogan, like Nash, and there's others who are like more, they're more characters than they are workers. So it's like you have to wrestle their style and their kind. It's
but you could have used this to do an angle where despite the NWO being in control of the show and having all these advantages, somehow they still get screwed like dumb heels, and Giant, and all these WCW guys screwed the NWO on their own show. Wouldn't that be kind of interesting to end the show with? Like, oh, the NWO guys, like, it backfires on them in the end. That would be interesting, and you can end the show on a cool note, and again, get people interested to tune into how it would play out later in the week. That's how you keep it going. But yeah, instead it's just every other finish that they ever did in 1997, 1998, just terrible, and a sign of things to come. So yeah, the show did not do well buy rate wise. It did half of what Starrcade did a few months before. Not good. This was a sign of things to come. I think it completely fell apart pretty much. The real beginning of the end was Starrcade 97, the infamous Hogan Sting non-fast count.
I was thinking about that too when I was talking about things. I'm like, Hogan's, like you build Sting up for over a year, which is it's actually a great build. You build Sting up, and then for over a year, it's like, okay, well, the logical conclusion here is have Sting beat Hogan, and he just doesn't.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Hogan beats the shit out of him for 10 minutes, pins him with a regular count, and then Bret Hart just basically gives him the title, gives Sting the title. Bad, very, very bad. And bad.
The build-up to that's actually quite funny. The build-up to that's actually quite funny too, because like you got like the whole thing was like like Sting wanted Hogan, but he wouldn't actually talk. So it's like, it was so obvious to the crowd that Sting wanted Hogan. But J.J. Dillon, who was the general manager, I was like, no, I know what you want. Oh, okay, I'll set you up. Okay, what you want? I'll set you up. It's going to be you versus Kurt Hennig. It's like, I don't want. It's like I'm clearly coming out to Hogan's matches all the time. No, I mean, we're going to just. Then the crowd, it just made it was cool, but it also made J.J. Dillon look like a dumbass.
I know. The Starrcade 97, is a whole other thing, but at least, and here's the thing: that match, you wouldn't even really have to have a match. Have Sting come in there, the bell rings, and Sting squashes Hogan in 2 minutes. The crowd would have loved it. You know what I mean? What you've been building up. Sting is this unstoppable monster. You could have done a Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing. Sting comes in there, beats him up, punches him, Stinger splash, Scorpion Death Drop, Scorpion Deathlock, taps out in 2 minutes, and it would have been a 2-minute match that people would build up for, but the crowd would have loved it. Sting would have won clean in the middle of the ring, make Hogan tap out. That's what everybody wanted to see. Even if it was a minute or 2 minutes, it would have been great, and they would have saved it. But it's bad. That's a whole other thing. Maybe we'll review it sometime, but it's not good. And again, Nick Patrick screwing it up as he usually does. So, anything else you guys want to say about the show before we move on? The train.
Feel really bad for the people who paid for Sunday Night Nitro.
Yeah.
It's not sure. Yeah.
Sunday Night Nitro.
No.
Yeah.
Because if it had been successful, they would have actually. They were toying with the idea of doing like NWO Nitro and WCW Thunder, like two separate brand things, which I don't know how would that work? NWO Nitro, you just have heel versus heel every night. That would have been a disaster as well. That's really stupid. Just dumb.
I would like to see an interview or something, maybe eventually, of one of the women involved in the in that.
The one who won, she's probably dead.
I was say, is the winner alive?
Honestly, she's probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The show was
It's like-
25 years ago. If she was in her 60s, then she's got to be at least in her 80s or 90. She's probably dead. She's probably not around alive anymore.
Yeah, but can you imagine like a granddaughter or grandson? Oh yeah, I was on wrestling WCW. Like what? Oh yeah. What? Oh yeah. When you put that on, like, oh, what's okay. Oh cool. I wish you didn't show me that, Grandma, but thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Bad
What
stuff.
do you guys think? Uncle Dave Meltzer rated the main event. I Sold Out '97.
Well, run down all the star matches because I didn't look those up. So run them down.
So Jarrett, the opening between Chono and Jericho got 2 stars.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Big Bubba and Hugh Morris got half a star.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Jeff Jarrett and Mr. Wall Street was rated a dud.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Buff Bagwell and Scottie Riggs got 1 1/4.
I thought that was better than the opener. I would give it a 2.5 at least.
Yeah.
I'd give it 2.5, right?
Yeah.
It's because Macho Chono's Japanese.
Yeah, it wasn't in the New Japan. It wasn't in the Dome, so it didn't get as much.
The Young Bucks weren't born yet. I mean, the Young Bucks weren't there yet. So you got to go on the Young Bucks. Yeah, it didn't have Kenny Omega.
Yeah. No Will Ospreay. Yeah, no, it just wasn't good enough. Anyways,
Scott Norton and DDP got half a star. The Steiners and Nash and Hall got 2 1/4.
that match was not better than the American Males match. It just wasn't.
It just wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. All right.
Eddie Guerrero and 6, 4 stars.
Wow. He was a little more generous. I would have given it about 3.5 or 3 3.75. Like, I don't know if I'd have gone 4-star territory, but it was good. The best match of the show for sure.
Yeah. And Hogan and the Giant 1.5. Oh no, sorry, -1.5.
-1.
Yeah. Awful show. Awful. Terrible. Wretched.
Yeah, I think that like the story of WCW, you think, oh, okay, like just like this idea that like, oh, like it all Vince Russo came in and then everything went to shit. It's like, no, like you were heading in that direction for a while.
Yeah, there was plenty of garbage on any given Nitro, any given pay-per-view. There was plenty of bad stuff. It just kind of got it went full speed ahead, like once that went there. But I mean, there was plenty of stuff that was bad in like 1999 before Russo took over, and things like that. So yeah, there in 1998 had some rough stuff, ups and downs. So I mean, the company was still making money. They were still attendances was still good. They were still doing their thing even in 1998. Like they were still pretty hot. I mean, so it's just they just made some bad decisions that bit them in the ass in the end. And WCW's an interesting one. I'm sure we'll go through some of their other pay-per-views here and there, as we do the Lonely Marks. But we'll explore some other ones. Maybe some infamous. We'll do a good one at some point too. I think there's some good ones as well.
And it's interesting. I don't know if he was injured. It's just interesting that like maybe he was injured, but like Ric Flair was on the show. I thought maybe he would be so someone like a big name and people would want to see. But yeah, like like a lot of these the show was like sort of burgeoning, either burgeoning stars or like there was a couple of good stars, but there was also like the people who weren't like as big as they would become. So the crowd couldn't really. It was hard for the crowd to get invested because you only had maybe 2-3 actual proper like stars on the show. But yeah.
I find it funny how as soon as we're done talking about Sold Out, Jordan's back.
Well, I had plenty to say. Bischoff made out with that one girl. That was fun.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I don't know how fun it was for her, but it was
twice. I wonder if because they didn't get a good shot the first time, the director was like, "Gotta do it again, gotta do it one more time," and then zoom in. I wonder how that discussion.
No, this is my
went
mom's
too.
friend.
I wonder how the discussion went. Like, all right, who's here is willing to make out with Easy at the end of it?
Yeah, I don't even know if there was a discussion. To be honest, nothing just happened.
Remember, we're not paying you, so
It might have been 1998. It might have been like, I'm going for it.
So apparently, I'm looking up real quick a list of the best WCW pay-per-views. There's only one after 1996 that made the list.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
What's
like
that?
Spring Stampede '99, where DDP won the
Okay.
title, and everything else, like 3 or 4 of them are from 1996. Like 1996 was a good year. They had a lot of good, mid card matches and opening matches, cruiserweight stuff, like good, and even some decent, like sports entertainment main event, sort of things. There's a couple from 1992 that are supposedly good. Oh, I'm sorry, Halloween Havoc '97 is on there too, but
That's good. That's a really good show.
But yeah, that's a good show too. So maybe we'll do another 90. Maybe we'll come back to '97 and do Halloween Havoc for like a good show. You know what I mean? So we'll see and see the contrast of like, oh, they were still doing some good stuff here because that one has
Eddie and Ray.
Yeah, that one has Savage and Page. Yeah, Eddie and Ray, Yuji Nagata and Ultimate Dragon. It's got a shitty main event with Piper and Hogan, but but we can talk. At least we can talk about some garbage on that show too. So but that's the pay per view formula of WCW is like shitty main events, but they usually had pretty good undercards. So yeah. At least
but Eric Bischoff should be lucky that that's why there's no allegations coming about him because you'd use the segments with as sort of like if it doesn't look good, you're like, oh yeah, look unfortunately making out with an old lady.
Yeah. But oh well. Anyway, so we'll get into our main thing of this evening with the thing. So Jacob, you take it back over. We'll talk about our favorite wrestlers. So yeah.
Finally, let's talk something good other than Six and Eddie because that was good. But yes, we will get into our favorite wrestlers. So what we have done is we have each picked 5 of our all-time favorite wrestlers and 5 of our current favorite wrestlers. And so basically the way we do our top 5s is we'll just go roundtable discussion. We'll each do one pick at a time. Going through from 5 to 1. And maybe if somebody has a wrestler higher on their list, we can hold the discussion off until we get to the higher rank. Because I can already tell by looking at my list that my number 5 is definitely higher on somebody else's list when it comes to all time. So that brings the question. I should have asked this off air, but I will ask it now. Do we want to do all time or current first?
Let's do current first, I think.
Right.
Go into the all time.
So Richie, since this was your idea, why don't you kick us off? And here, we'll switch. So you'll be at the top, and we'll just go. We'll just go in the circle. So Austin, then Jordan, and then myself, and we'll just go in that order.
Sure.
Well, yeah, my I mean, these are like sort of in no particular order, I guess. But the one I'm going to bring up first is and it cemented it for me with his match with Daniel Garcia on Dynamite, which is fucking amazing. I'm going to go Brian Danielson.
He's much higher on my list.
Punt.
Yes.
He's absolutely crushing it. I enjoy him. Yeah, we'll talk about him later.
So yeah, two of mine are tag teams. So I just mashed them together. You guys, I just like to watch. So number 5, I have the Lucha Bros. I just currently watching. I think they just have great match after great match. They're fun to watch. I like the fact that Pentagon is like kind of intimidating too. Like he looks like a guy who could throw down with some big guys, and he has. Like Brody King and stuff. Like they did on the Forbidden Door thing. I like the fact they have that kind of side to them. Phoenix is just a great, amazing cruiserweight who just moves like nobody else. He's awesome, and yeah, those guys together are just dynamite. I think they're fantastic. No matter dynamite. But they seem to have. You'd be hard pressed to find a bad match with those guys. Maybe a botch here and there, but like you'd be hard pressed to find anything bad with those dudes. I think they're super exciting to watch, and you can put them with damn near any tag team, and they're awesome. So I really like the Lucha Bros.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. I think the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks could be AEW's version of the New Day and the Usos in.
Or back in the day, like Edge and Christian and the Hardys, like back in the day. Yeah, something like that.
Absolutely. Like you put them together, and the match is going to be good.
Yes,
at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's a good shot. We did our top 5 tag teams before, and they were definitely on my list. So, yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Good.
So I don't know if you guys did any of the logic like I did. So I don't know if I have a couple people that we haven't seen in a couple months, but because it's not that far off, and hopefully it's any time that we'll see them again. My number 5 is MJF. It's very invested in seeing where he goes from here. As I'm surprised it's been this long since we've heard anything. So I really didn't think it was going to be this long. Maybe it'll be at All Out. Maybe we'll see there. But I just think for promos and then even matches, man, he can deliver. So I'm a big MJF guy, so I had him at my number 5.
All right.
Well, I have to wonder. You bring MJF up. I have to wonder since they're doing the unification match next week. Is the All Out match Punk and MJF? Is MJF going to make his return? And could that be the All Out match? I don't know. I'm just speculating here because I was very surprised to see that they were doing the unification match for free on the Dynamite. But I'm here for it. I'm going to watch it. But
unless it's a schmozzle and then they just do a rematch, which they don't usually do.
Right.
But
right.
Maybe if that, and also like Adam Page has sort of like been tossed into the feud. I don't know if he's going to be a part. Like CM Punk randomly mentioned Adam Page.
Well, and from what I read, that wasn't part of the script. That was Punk going off on his own and calling him out. So I don't know, like where. That
what can you believe anymore?
Yeah,
that's true. So, but anyway, my number 5 is the only guy in WWE to get his name added to instead of taken away. My number 5 is Seth freaking Rollins.
Oh, it's the Angel Garza.
Oh, no, I mean Angel Garza was taken away from, and then he was given back.
Oh, he got it back. Okay.
Seth Rollins just hasn't been. Yeah, Seth Rollins didn't get taken away from it all. But no,
I have a little bit of a. Actually, I'll punt it.
Okay. So, I'll hold my tongue then. Richie, back to you.
Nasty.
This next one, I wish he would featured more, but he's doing good stuff at the moment, and I've always enjoyed his work, and I think he's I think he's great. My next one is Pac. I love Pac so much. Like Pac so much. I think he's fantastic. It's like it's.
I hope you got a YouTube subscription because that's where you'll find him.
I was going to say it's interesting what they're doing with Atlantic thing. He's just like traveling around the world. I guess that's a good idea to maybe try to expand AEW internationally. But maybe they're testing the waters, see how much interest there is in that, so that they go to. Because I'm assuming they're going to go to places like UK and Australia and all that eventually. I think Park's never in a bad match. I think
Australia.
I think he's fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, I don't know. They could go to worse places like Arizona. Anyway, no. I just think his work is top notch, and I don't think it was seen I wouldn't mind one day seeing him hold the main title. I think he's fantastic. So.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good shot. I'm looking forward to the trios match next week between Death Triangle and Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. That should be a banger of a match. So, yeah, no, Pac's a good shout.
Well, I'm glad he's in a company that he's being used properly again, and he's being pushed like a star because I've always been a fan of him. Been a fan of him since CZW and in the indie days in Chikara. My number 4 is Claudio Castagnoli. I'm a huge fan of that dude. Hunt. All right. Sounds good. Hey, I'll just say there's a reason I ordered a 12-disc set of the best of Claudio Castagnoli on the indies, and it's worth every penny. And it's only $35. Worth every penny. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Jordan.
Mr. NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get to make out with Bischoff if I win. Don't leave, Austin. You get yourself. I would with similar logic. Somebody that we haven't seen for a couple months. I don't know if it might even not be until around Mania next year, maybe Rumble. Cody Rhodes, man, I've enjoyed since his return, and Mania has cut some great promos here. That might have been, maybe that was a SummerSlam match we would have gotten. I don't know, but the world title picture for the first time I think in a while is looking kind of interesting. With the induction of Killer Cross and Drew, and I can't wait to see Cody get mixed up in that again and start fighting some more people other than Seth freaking Rollins, even though those were some really good matches.
It's a Karrion Cross, not Killer Cross. I always wondered, like, if with Triple H in charge now, if they would have, let them keep their same names.
I do see also logic in Karrion's already been introduced, so maybe just like it's kind of like too late kind of thing, and maybe it's some of those rules maybe he agrees with. Maybe like Killer is too harsh. I don't know.
Right. No, Cody Rhodes. Yeah, that's a good pick. An honorable mention of mine, both Pac and Cody Rhodes. Coming up with 5 was tough. It's a good thing we're going favorites though, and not just who's best in the ring. That's a different list. Because my number 4 is Bobby Lashley. I really ever since he won the WWE Championship, like I've really enjoyed his work. I'm enjoying his face run with the title, and I'm glad they're putting some trying to get some prestige back to these mid card titles. Bobby Lashley has had 2 really good defenses on Raw, against great opponents. I'm looking forward to what he keeps doing with the U.S. title, and who knows, maybe he gets another WWE or Universal title opportunity if they decide to split those belts back up.
I'm surprised that they haven't put him that he didn't have like a full on program with like Roman Reigns at this point, because he's one of the more over people on the company. And I never thought I would like watching him in 2006. So when he, especially when that huge push when he just remember when he won the ECW title. I never thought I'd care about Bobby Lashley. I just thought he was just another big dude that Vince likes. The kind of the build that Vince likes, and and he was okay, but they were pushing him way too fast. But I think he's turned into a solid in-ring worker, and the dude doesn't age. The dude's in his mid-40s, and he doesn't look like it's fucking crazy. I love Bobby Lashley. He'd be on my honorables. And I love his presentation. I wish he was still with MVP though, instead of be with Almost, but that's whatever. But Bobby Lashley has definitely improved on the mic as well. But MVP would it kind of does elevate him a bit. That's a solid pick. I think Bobby Lashley's having a great run. So I wouldn't mind seeing it capped off with the WWE title at some point. But
curious to see who his next challenger is for the U.S. title. Maybe a Miz or something. I don't know. But keep having these defenses because it really brings some prestige back to these mid cards. But Richard, who do you got at number 3?
All right, number 3, another guy I think I really like from AEW. I really like. I hope he gets a huge push at one point because I think he's got everything. I think he's got it all. I like watching him wrestle. I like watching his work. I like watching his mic work. I like watching him in the ring. I'm gonna go Ricky Starks. I love Ricky Starks. I think he is got just massive potential. I'm glad they turned a baby face now. I think the crowd's been wanting to cheer him for a while. I think he's just got everything you want in a star. And I'm looking forward to his. I'm assuming they're gonna have a match at All Out with him and Will Hobbs, who also almost made on the list. I think he's really good as well. I'm looking forward to their match, and I think they're doing a good job building him up, and I expect that in the next couple of years he'll be the main guy. Ricky Starks.
That's a good pick, bro. I've been a fan of his for a while, the Stroke Daddy, so I'm glad to see he's finally, even more so than the FTW title run. I feel like this is really kind of be his breakout. If this was like a top 10 breakouts maybe for the next year, I'd have him very high.
I could see him being the one to dethrone Wardlow and go on a decent TNT title run. It's kind of that upset that you don't see coming, but he's just so over with the fans that, and I could see Wardlow dropping it to him. Wardlow a face Wardlow, just showing the respect like he did for what was his name? Was it Dante Martin that he had a match with? It was one of those smaller guys, but anyway.
Yeah. Oh, so Orange Cat, like Orange Cassidy.
It was Orange Cassidy. Yeah, it was Orange Cassidy. It was one of those guys that's like super over with the crowds, and I knew it was a smaller guy, but this is why I'm not good at wrestling trivia anymore. Austin, who's next on your list?
I've always liked big, bulky guys who just beat people up. So Walter is my number 3. And
it's so tough keeping them off the list.
I'm hoping that with this new regime change that they'll get away from the Gunther shit, get him back to being Walter and getting back to doing what he does best, which is just beat the hell out of people and make him a threat again, make him, bring some prominence back to him, make him a legitimate star. I'm not saying he has to be necessarily a main eventer because, he not to say he couldn't be, but get him back into where he's like an upper mid card, like really solid guy, start using him properly because he was amazing on NXT UK and, NXT, the takeovers and things. Like he's awesome. Like he's just had some incredible matches. He can work with just about anybody, he can work with another big guy and, he can work with small guys and just throw them all over the place. I watched a match in Evolve with him and Darby Allin, and it's one of the biggest David versus Goliath slaughters I've ever seen. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch. So yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. I like watching him. I've been a fan of him ever since his WXW days in Germany. Like he's great. So yeah, he's a cool dude. He's got a great look. He's not like shredded or anything. He's just a big dude who would just beat the shit out of you. And I like those guys sometimes. So yeah.
And can we finally give him his last name Stark back? Am I right?
I'm calling it now. You guys, you heard it here first. Your WrestleMania 40 main event will be Walter versus Karrion Kross.
How many are we away from 40? What are we at right now?
So we got 39 next year, and then 40.
Okay, so 2 years from now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying so. Not this next WrestleMania, but WrestleMania following.
I prefer to see Karrion Kross is all right. I'm never really huge. I prefer to see Roman, maybe in Roman or like even Cody or something.
Roman in the main event. What a brilliant idea, Richie again. Roman in the main event.
Okay, sorry I spoke. And
sorry I talked, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're all allowed our opinions.
Volta might be a good. We might get. I don't know if we'll get into it, but they just announced that they're going to do NXT Europe, and they're kind of closing down NXT UK for a bit. So it's going to be NXT Europe starting next year. So he might be a.
Well, I think that's he needs to be like a top guy in those things. Like get him back to there and just let him be that one big dude who's just like that threat, the guy who's at the top of the mountain that you got to work to beat. Like the stuff with Dragunov, finally beating him, and those matches were incredible, and him like overcoming the odds, and like it was a great story, and they told it really well, and it was awesome. So like he's those guys who can be a top guy, if you push him properly. I mean, he's got an amazing presence. I mean, when they would hit his music, he just comes out and stands there, with his hands behind his back. I mean, you go like, oh my God, that guy has it. You know what I mean? Like he has it. So when they first debuted, and from there, so. I hope with this new regime, I think Triple H is a fan of him, like through the NXT UK stuff. So I hope they will kind of restore him to prominence. That's what I'm hoping.
I wish Vince didn't make him lose weight though. You know what I mean? Like I think he was cool with like the he didn't have a proper wrestling build. Now he's sort of like he's lost weight and he's not like buff, but he kind of just looks. I feel like they made him they look a bit more generic, but at least they're pushing him. Apparently, like before the regime change, apparently after a match with R-Truth, like they weren't impressed, and Vince was going to bury him. They were going to bury him.
That's what I'm saying. This is one of those things where if they buried him, that would have sucked because like I love him, and if they're just gonna do that, I'd prefer him be somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like even if he was on the Indies or whatever, just be somewhere else or go back to Europe. Like I don't want to see that. So I know AEW would probably be interested in him because he's a cool guy. But if just send him back over to NXT Europe if that's what they're gonna do. Have him be a top guy there, have him be champion or in that championship circle, and just let him do his thing. Like I'd be cool with that.
So, speaking of the NXT UK or Europe championship, apparently they spoiled their own NXT UK tournament, which they've taped it for NXT UK, but they haven't aired it yet. And guess who came out with the NXT UK Championship on NXT this past Tuesday? Spoilers. Tyler Bate.
Oh, that's funny. So that hasn't aired, and that's funny. I had no idea.
But yeah. So they spoiled their own tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just thought that was funny. But no, Walter's a good pick, and yes, I will call him Walter.
Yeah.
Jordan, who you got at number 3?
Number three. Someone I wouldn't have necessarily thought I'd have on this list because I started to very cool down on him, but I've enjoyed his run and I'm enjoying to see what happens next week is John Moxley. I think between the Blackpool Combat Club, the matches he's had with Danielson, some of the recent promos, the way he's carrying himself, I'm down for it, man. And he's had some great stuff on Rampage and Dynamite, and yeah, I'm very high on him for the first time. In a little bit here, so yeah, I've been enjoying Moxley lately.
No, Moxley's great. I've enjoyed the defenses he's had of the interim championship. Which don't say that in front of him because he doesn't like being called interim. But no, he's had some really good matches. Although I will say the brawl or whatever on AEW last night was kind of lackluster. It's like they go after each other, maybe swing at each other, and nobody would hit them, and like at least let them get some shots in before you break them up. Like it felt weird, but other than that, I like Moxley.
The pipe bomb stuff was really good. Like, they both had really good burns. Like, you're the best in the company. You're like the third best guy in your own group, and that's followed you your whole career. like that was a really good shot at the Shield. That was great. I was like, it's like, yeah, I would hit you, but you'd bleed all over me.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, and it's like, and then Mox is like, yeah, you only came here for the money, and you only, like you're not even the best person in catering. I was like, oh man, but yeah, it's like I mean, you want to see it at pay per view. Like these guys, like really good. Yeah, and then he goes, you're not even like when it was going to be and all that. I was like, you're not even the best John I faced in Chicago. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So yeah, and it's like, and for some reason, I don't know if this was this was an ad lib line from CM Punk either, but like because he tends to cover it, but it was like Eddie Kingston's is only like the second best Kingston I wrestled, and the third best and the third best Eddie. I was like, oh shit. I guess the second one's Eddie Edwards. I couldn't think of the second one what it was. But
I also was just about to ask, who's the second best Eddie? Yeah, Edwards comes to mind. What's another really good Eddie?
Guerrero?
No, that's first. So who? If Kingston's the third best, then who's second?
Eddie Edwards.
Right, but I'm just saying they didn't spend a lot of time together. Is all I'm saying. So. It could have been. It also could have. There also might not be an official list. It might have just been a funny thing to say. But like that is what came to my mind of like, Guerrero definitely comes to mind because that's someone that is the first big name he wrestled in IWA Mid-South. We know it's Kofi. Who's the other Eddie?
That isn't. Yeah, no. That's gonna bother me now. If it's not. It's the only one I can think of is Eddie Edwards. But let's see. According to the Internet Wrestling Database, the 3 Eddies he has faced is Eddie Kingston, Eddie Guerrero, and some guy named Eddie Craven.
Okay, so there really isn't one then. I think it was just a funny thing to say. And you know what? Yeah. Maybe he's a big Impact fan. He just likes Eddie Edwards. Like, it doesn't mean he has to wrestle him.
I like Eddie Edwards as well. He always been on my list.
You know who would be the number one on CM Punk's list for wrestlers? The best fruit that he ever wrestled? My number 3 pick, Orange Cassidy. Ever since I really enjoyed his work before Forbidden Door, but that match with Will Ospreay like just solidified like this guy. Not only is he just cool. Like he just gives off that like cool fact. Like he just oozes coolness when he's on the screen. But he can wrestle. He can go. He's got some he's got some skills. He can go in the ring. His match with Wardlow, like I actually believed that he could take the title off of him. Like he can work with big guys. He can work with smaller guys his own size. Like as a team, as part of the best friends. Like he's just cool, and I just like seeing him on my screen. And if he's on Dynamite and Rampage every week, or Dynamite or Rampage, not both. Like let's not get burnt out on the orange. But I mean, he's just great. I mean, and they must see something in him if Jericho's willing to put him over. So, Orange Cassidy is my number 3.
All right.
I think it's solid. I think he's shown he's gone from strength to strength. We all kind of slept on the Will Ospreay match. Like, oh, wouldn't there be like a better opponent for Will Ospreay? And then they had a match and it was like really fucking good. And then he's been been crushing it as of late. I could definitely see. I don't know if that someone like the gimmick would win the actual main title, but I could see him being the TNT champion at some point.
Oh yeah,
and maybe hold the 6th man and maybe the actual just the general tag titles as well. It's solid. And he's really good, really entertaining. And he's definitely the one of the ones you go and he's definitely one of the people you definitely the go-to guys to watch when he's in the ring. And he had a really good match with Ari Daivari though. They on Rampage too. And Ari Daivari, the guy I think WWE slept on. He's really good. He's been good.
Just Ari. Just Ari.
Ari. Yeah. Okay. That's a solid choice.
Yeah. So now we'll start the top 2s. Richie, who you got?
All right, my only WWE guy on this list. Spoiler. I'm going to go with Jordan's cousin, Kevin Owens. I think I think he's great. Like he definitely makes the most of what WWE throws at him, and sometimes they throw him shit. I think the reason that the Ezekiel thing worked is because of him. I don't think it would work. There's very few guys that would work with, but he made it entertaining as hell. And then they look like they're giving a big push now to the main title. He might be Roman's next challenger after Drew. Maybe Drew's next challenger, but I don't think anyway. We'll get that. I think that'll be really good. I can see him. I can see him holding the title eventually because he's one of Triple H's guys. That he really kind of gets behind. So Kevin Owens is really entertaining, and he's got the whole thing. He's got great promos. He's very funny, and just a great wrestler. So Kevin Owens.
Yeah, only reason he's not on my list because I don't want to show biasm. You know what I mean? I don't be biased. Let my cousin off. But I do think I almost didn't do it just because I was like, oh, I think if we get a month from now, I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of my 5 favorites to watch because we're finally getting back to that prize fighter, the good stuff. But again, like you said, even though, still kudos to him for even making the Elias thing, Ezekiel thing as fun as it was.
Because we're wrestlers in a wrestling ring. Let's freaking wrestle.
Yeah.
They said wrestle 3 times in one sentence on Raw.
On mini heart attack.
On WrestleMania, I heard somebody say belt instead of title.
Yeah.
Ooh, I heard that one slip by. Yeah.
I think it's funny how he's so Vince was so against using the term wrestling that one of their biggest pay-per-view of the year is called WrestleMania.
Hey, Triple H was on Logan's Paul podcast and he called them fans, not the universe.
Yeah,
that was actually a really good podcast. That was a really good episode.
Yeah.
They haven't been using that term lately. I think they've been calling them fans, which is good.
Good. They're fans. That's what they should be. They're fans.
Yes, not the WWE universe. Or
universe.
The AEW Galaxy.
They say, the universe is behind that. No, the fans are getting loud. You know what I mean? Just it's very simple. Stop it. Yeah. So again, the little things we talk about that they can do. The little things. Just Talk like people.
The only negative thing, I guess, is it's already dated the Jericho Appreciation Society, because obviously it's a shot of it, and now it's like, well, they don't do that stuff anymore, but it's still fun. But
You could still run at it from a different angle of like, well, fine, if they don't want to do it, we'll do it. Now we're sports entertainment, right? Everybody, like, I think you can still have fun with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Austin, who you got at number 2?
Another 2 for FTR. God damn it.
Yeah.
With loyal Publix customer that I work at, Dax Harwood, who shops frequently in my supermarket that I've seen multiple times. He's a good dude. But yeah, I think these guys, again, just dudes who could have great matches with anybody. They keep that old school element. You know, I kind of more of a new school with like Lucha Brothers, you know, the kind of newer style, but like FTR can run that old school style where they're just a great old school tag team. You know, they can just ground and pound and wrestle and you know, but they can do the faster stuff if you need them to do that. You know, they can adapt like that, but also make those other wrestlers slow down a little bit and have an old match. You know, I just like what they bring. You know, that old quality of you know, old timey Midnight Express, you know, Rock and Roll Express kind of stuff. So you know, it's more the modern version of that. So yeah, I love FTR. They're a lot of fun to watch.
A mini rant here, like so, and at All Out, they're teaming with Wardlow to face Sanjay to face Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and that Satman's thing. I feel like it's such a waste of FTR. They have 3 different tag titles, and you're not defending any of them. Like,
well, none of them are the AEW titles.
Yeah. But still, like you could have a match. You could literally have FTR versus Swerve No Glory. Why not? There's such a bit better match than what we're gonna get. I think the whole idea of the match is like, oh, cool. We want to see Wardlow powerbomb Satman Singh, and it's like, cool. Beyond that, why book the match? But yeah, FTR are fantastic. Yeah, I think that they're showing that they're one of the tag teams that come in the last 10 years. So yeah, I think that that's a solid choice. I wish I put them on my list.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to the at least the FTR, you know, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt stuff. Like that's gonna be pretty solid. I think.
If Dutt actually goes, sure. I don't know if it was like the last time he wrestled very much like a manager that was no longer wrestles. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe they'll bring in a 4th guy. Like I'm not wrestling. Here's this guy.
Are FTR and Wardlow going to be in the trios tournament?
No, they're not. The bracket's been the bracket's out.
We got to make room for Slim J.
Well, yeah, Slim J.
We don't. Okay, FTR doesn't need another set of titles. Let Slim J have a match on television.
I know, it's just odd. You know what I mean? Like you got a team with like, and I like Slim. I've done shows with him, but like, what?
Well, you know, Wardlow's the current champion anyway, so he doesn't need to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not even defending the TNT title. You know, there was a stat the other day. The TNT title hasn't been defended on pay-per-view for a year.
Yeah, they do skip that title a lot, and I don't know why. Because they don't skip the TBS title, so it's not like there's a, you know, it's just a TV thing. So I don't know. I don't get that either. That angers me a lot more than the FTR part because, like, defend the TNT title.
I mean, I don't hate that it's not defended on pay-per-view because it is called the TNT title, but at the same time, it's like if you're going to defend the TBS title,
well, that's
why
what I'm
not?
saying. Yeah, it's going to contradict
well?
each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's if they stuck to both, then I can kind of get it. But they seem to shoehorn in. And no offense to Jay, but like sometimes like her matches are very shoehorned in. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Not the weakest on the card.
Yeah, like the last pay not Forbidden Door, but the last pay before that, it was like, oh, by the way, we have Jade Cargo versus Anna Jay. No bill.
Yeah, that's kind of the epitome of like a shoehorn in just to have the title on there.
Yeah. All
right. So I believe Jordan, we're at your number 2.
All right. So this was the one we punted from you, Jacob. You want to talk a little bit about the freaking Rollins?
Absolutely. No, I think Rollins is just. I think at this point in his career, he's just a really solid worker that you can rely on to have good matches, good promos. He can sell a feud. I'm looking forward to him and Riddle. His feud with Cody, like he was the perfect choice to go against Cody in his return. yeah, whether he's winning or losing, like he's just entertaining, and you can't. I know he's a heel, but you can't help but like the guy and just his move set and just the way he presents himself. I think he's just really, really solid, and I would love to see him get back on the winning side and maybe go after a title. Maybe he could, after he's done with Riddle, maybe he's a challenger for Lashley. I wouldn't mind seeing him go on a U.S. title run, bring some,
feud title match. Yeah, man, Rollins to me is just like he's some of the. I legit look forward to seeing like what he wears, what he says. I think he's gotten to that point where, and not in a bad way, that I think he's just comfortable and knows how good he is, and is just letting it fly right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just like, all right, man, let me say this, let me do this the way he laughs. I love it. I'm entertained. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's and like you said, too, I think he still got the matches to boot. Like, I mean, we all kind of felt like it was kind of wasted at SummerSlam, but when he actually fights Riddle, I'm sure it's gonna be a really good match. And like you said too, I like the idea of him and Bobby. That could be a solid one too. If let's say Drew takes the title, Drew and Seth would be great. Like, he's so good. Can be plugged into, temporary tag partner to any kind of singles. He's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like he just leans into like he's fully lent into his character, and I think that it's great. And like to the wacky suits, to the embracing that he's kind of got like this kind of like maybe this kind of jarring voice, so he just with the laugh, and I think it's I think he's great. I could definitely. I could definitely see him either challenge for the title soon or I think they still want to do that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins thing again, because like that was kind of a murky finish, but I could see them doing it at some point, but I definitely see him holding the titles soon. He's great.
Yeah. So my number 2, I believe, was a punch from Austin. So Austin, I'll let you take lead on this one. It's Claudio.
Claudio is just the man. I've been a fan of his for a long time. Ever since his sort of mid 2000s when he was kind of really breaking out. Matches with Chris Hero and stuff in Chikara and IW Mid South and he's still great. I mean, he's still in incredible shape. He's barely aged. He still looks pretty much the same. But I love how versatile he is. How he can do. He can be a great post for smaller lucha guys, have great, matches with lucha guys. He can have just a really good technical match. He can brawl, with the best of them and have good, brawls. He can just do it all. And I like that his size, it's like he's bigger than you think it is. So he can act like a big guy when he needs to, but he can also, move around quickly, like a smaller guy. He's super deceptively strong. He can do these big power moves, but, I love just how he can adapt his style to damn near anybody. Like I said, you look at those best of DVDs and he has these matches with all kinds of different style guys and they're all good. And I'm glad he's being treated like a star again. He doesn't always have to be in the main event. Like he can definitely be that guy when you need him to be, but he's just always been like a solid, like upper mid card guy and always has pretty good matches. So Claudio's great.
Yeah, I'm glad they kind of shot him straight to the moon as like first, however long he's been in AEW now. He had a really, really great first week between Forbidden Door and then Blood and Guts. Like he showed out and he just, I think he reminded everyone like, hey, I can do this. Like I'm really good at what I do.
Well, and him and Danielson and Wheeler as like a trios thing, as the Combat Club could be a lot of fun. They could have some great
I would love to see them, go after those trios titles at some point. But yeah, everything you said, like he just puts on classic after classic. I think like I can't think of a match that he's been in that I'm like, that was okay. I was like, hey, no, that was another really good Cesaro match, or that was a really good Claudio match. Like his stuff with Sami Zayn from NXT, like amazing. There was a fatal 4-way between, I think it was Zayn, Owens, Miz, and Cesaro. I think it's kind of people don't talk about it enough, but for the Intercontinental title, I don't remember which pay-per-view. I think it was like 2015 or 2016, but it's really solid. Like he can carry a match. I think during Roman's run. Like I think he has, other than the Jey Uso Hell in a Cell match, I think Cesaro was like his best opponent. Like those two put on a really solid match. And I'm looking forward to what he does next with the ROH title. Looking forward to see what he does as part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Man, I could see him. He's done so much in AEW already, and I'm sure he can do even more. I'm excited for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. All right, we'll get into our number ones. Richie.
All right. Number one, it's maybe surprising, but like I just think his work in AEW is great, and he's got himself so over. And I just love watching his promos. I love watching his promos. I love what I just love his intensity. I love watching him wrestle. Honestly, my number one is Eddie Kingston.
Danhausen. No? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Eddie Kingston. I find Eddie Kingston just enthralling. I think he's captivating. I always watch him. Every time he's on screen, I always pay attention. I think he, I just like the whole wild man style, and you don't, and the whole, you don't know sometimes it's like, some of his promos are kind of a work or a shoot, or kind of obviously both. I think it's just I love Eddie Kingston, and he's one of the more over people in AEW at the moment. I can see him. I could definitely see him feuding with Punk and or actually. Well, maybe before his career and winning the AEW title, I think he would have a decent run. I mean, I might shock people, but my number one is Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm. Hot take. I'm not a huge fan of Eddie Kingston. I think his in-ring work is just okay, and I'm not a fan of his promo style.
Jacob, real quick, can you take yourself out of the stream? That's not what I meant. Good. I like being over here anyway.
Shit messes up the order.
You want to have some fun though? Go back to CZW circa like 2006, 2007 when he was color commentary for CZW. He's a lot of fun because he's just every time somebody would do something wacky or crazy, gin and tonic. Oh God, no! He landed on his head. Holy shit! Like God damn. No,
sorry.
It's okay. At least it's not his turn, anyways. So
see, Jacob, even the dog's mad you don't like Kingston.
Yeah.
Even though it's clearly barking at something outside of Richie's door. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good one, Jordan.
Yeah.
It's letting his.
You muted yourself this time.
Shut up.
Anyway, Austin, who's your number one?
Well, it's a guy who's been hovering around my top 5 ever since the era of Honor begins in 2002 when I bought it at FYE. Come on, it's the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Damn it.
Also my number one.
Yeah.
And I also bought that at FYE.
Yeah, you did. Because they had those first 4 shows, the Round Robin Challenge, the Eddie Guerrero tribute show, all that stuff. Yeah. They had all those. Yeah.
I started with the Round Robin because I was like, what the hell is a Round Robin?
Yeah, you're like, what? No, but I mean, he's great. I mean, from day one when I first saw him there, in that legendary 3-way with him and Loki and Christopher Daniels, I was a fan of all those guys right from the beginning, and it's amazing. He's had this 20+ year career, and he's still putting out bangers on a regular basis. I mean, he's still he's barely lost a step. I know even with the neck injury and stuff, like he always finds a way to come back and do his thing, and he's another guy who can just have a great match with anybody. Even when he was in WWE, just have awesome matches. Despite the odds, and I'm glad he's still being treated all these years later like a main eventer because he is. So yeah, and another guy who can adapt his style. He can do the faster stuff. He can have great brawls. He can have a good stiff, strong style match. Whatever you got to do. He's one of the best in the world for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Richie, because you had him at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to that end, no, I mean, I don't know. I just I maybe enjoy the other wrestlers' characters better, but Bryan Danielson's a better wrestler. I think also to that end, if we do this list again in about a year or so, and favorite current wrestlers, Daniel Garcia will probably be on my list. I think he'll get up there.
So good.
He had a fucking banger with Bryan Danielson. It was so good. I recommend checking it out. So yeah, I think, and it looks like Daniel Garcia is finally going to where he should be, which is the Blackpool Combat Club. But I guess that's the whole storyline going on. But Bryan Danielson's fantastic. Like the fact that he also had a career where he was forced to retire, and he sort of he came back, slamming, banging matches, and still and then he's had a couple setbacks in AEW too, where he had a concussion. It's like, we sort of missed out on the Zack Sabre Jr. match, which hopefully we'll get at some point soon. He's just still tearing it up, and he has literally has the best match on the show all the time. So it is. I mean, I have him on my list, so it's not like I haven't admitted it, but it's like, so I think it's a solid number one though.
Did anybody else solidly hope that Tony Khan? I know he had rights issues where they just don't let it out, but if you had somehow been able to finagle the final countdown for Bryan Danielson to come out to it in AEW, just the fact that just Europe doesn't loan out their music to anybody, which sucks. But,
Europe was being hard to deal with apparently.
Yeah, because that would have been amazing. Because like everybody loved that. Because he would do his entrance and just the whole crowd, the final countdown. So it's just so much fun. So great.
Yeah. Danielson's great. I think he's the best wrestler working today. I mean, I don't think he's like the best character, but when you wrestle as good as he does, you don't really need to. And his match with Daniel Garcia was just a showcase of that. When he and Zack Sabre Jr. finally lock up, like it's gonna be another banger. He can go out and have a great match with anyone. I remember his match with Jericho in NXT, like when it was the game show. Like even though it was pretty short, it was still like, of the game show era, it's probably the best match that NXT has done. And it was like one of the first matches that they did too, like on the entire show. He's great. I was upset when he retired the first time, and when he came back, like it was great. That's the hometown guy. Like he and I are from the same state. He was like from an hour away from me. Like our high schools that we graduated from are like 30 minutes away from each other. Kind of wish I was a little bit older so I could have seen him, maybe do some high school wrestling and stuff, but we're a little far apart in age. So I just missed it, but he's great. Blackpool Combat Club, like you mentioned it earlier, him, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta, like that could be a very solid trio with Moxley kind of being your singles guy. We could gush about it for however long, but we still have to go through our all-time. And Jordan has to give us his number one. So, Jordan, who is your number one current wrestler?
Well, look in my eyes. What do you see? Personality. Screw it, man. I love CM Punk. I loved his return. Looking forward to the match with him and Mox. I think he's put on some really good matches here. I still look forward to seeing what more he can give that man a mic. He missed me in the match. So I'm still very high on him. So I went with the Punkster, my good friend Phil.
Yeah. Not a bad choice. I kind of like the booking decision. It's like of booking the unification match next week, because it's like, oh, these two aren't going to keep their hands off of each other. Let's just do the match. Okay.
I also think it's probably played that, like Tony Khan recognizing that Raw and SmackDown's kind of good now, and then getting booked pretty well, and so like, well, we need you're doing this on the show. Well, we're going to give you this, and so I mean,
competition breeds good things. So now that WWE's getting better, even AEW has to step up their game a little bit more. That's not a bad thing.
No, but solid choice. I like CM Punk a lot. I think he's still fantastic, and it definitely will go down as one of the greats for a reason. So solid. It is a solid pick. Quickly, so, I'm not going to go through. I'm not going to kind of talk about them, rattle them off or anything. But I do have honorable mentions, but I won't talk about them extensively. Their names, So Britt Baker, believe it or not, Hook. I like Hook. And you joked about it before. Danhausen. I got him on my list. I love Dan. I love me some Danhausen. Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona is pretty damn good. He's having a good year. And a name I never thought I'd put on this list, considering it's going to be run. Steve Macklin, the former Steve Cutler. He's great. And Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah. Anyone else have any honorable mentions?
I don't know. Had you had a top 10, I would have thrown, believe it or not, I would have thrown Nick Gage on there. I think he's been doing good shit since he got out of jail. So,
Nick Gage, I don't know about the last 6 months. But no, I also Danielson is someone I obviously definitely thought of. And shout out to Steve Macklin, man. I think he might be world champ by the end of the year.
Yeah, some of my honorable mentions were picked CM Punk, Pac, Walter, all ones I thought about. Kevin Owens, all ones I thought about, and then Riddle. I really enjoy the work Riddle's doing. So Riddle was also an honorable mention. If we did top 10, those probably would have rounded it out. So now, let's move into the all-time, and we're pushing the 2-hour mark, so maybe we'll go through these a little bit quicker.
We won't need to expand on some of these guys. We were all very familiar with everybody. You know what I mean? Like it'd be pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. So we'll I'll go first this time because I know my number 5 is going to be punted. My number 5 is HBK. All right, punt. Richie, moving on to you.
That was my number 5. So
all right, so Austin, we're already on to you.
He's not on my list. It would have been maybe 6 or 7. So my number 5 is Mick Foley.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not
my friend Mick
knowing you now. Like I'm not surprised.
Oh, did you open up for him twice like me, Richard?
No, I talked to him again recently, but I did not. He didn't have
Saw the
it the
picture.
first time. But,
Do you have it on over like I do?
Anyway, Austin, why do you like Mick Foley so much?
I don't know. Why wouldn't you like Mick Foley? He sacrificed damn near every part of his body for his entire career and always did crazy shit. Not the greatest technical wrestler, but he did exactly what he needed to do. He did hardcore wrestling correctly. He's one of those guys that knew how to do it by telling a story, who knew how to do what he needed to do when he needed to do it. And come on, his promo skills are some of the greatest of all time. Like if you made a promo guy, he's top 5 easy as far as being able to really engage in a different style, not yelling and screaming, a little bit here and there, but like telling a story even in his promos. Like he's just incredible the way he can weave a tale. So I love Mick Foley and whatever incarnation, Mankind, Cactus Jack, whatever. I'm down. So Mick Foley.
Yeah, and then even his later run where he was putting over guys like Triple H and
Randy Orton, and Edge. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and his series of interviews that he did earlier on in his with JR, that series of interviews, like that's great. Like if you want
his stuff in Japan with Funk, his stuff in WCW with Vader, like all of his stuff is Sting, like all that stuff is great. Like all that stuff is excellent. You go back and watch it, still holds up. So yeah, good stuff.
Anyone remember his feud with Carlito? that wasn't the highlight, but yeah, still.
It'll be a bummer, Richie.
Yeah. Jordan, who's your number 5?
All right. Listen, it's not just because I want a job, but Triple H is my number 5. So hey, Paul, if you're listening, I think the dude's had a great career, man. He started off, of course, with a funky gimmick that definitely had, I think, a plateau level to it. Joining the DX, I think, and just becoming, I think, one of the greatest world champions. Sucks that he is one of those guys that never got to have a true send off. But I think he's fantastic, and I've enjoyed every incarnation of him. So I went with Triple H.
Yeah, not a bad choice. Works well as a heel or a face. I think him and Shawn Michaels is in the later reincarnation of DX were really funny, really solid. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the Triple H era that we're in now. So
yeah,
that's a great.
I would say the Triple H era of now is great, but I'm not. He was definitely he's definitely really good and he deserves to be on the list. Yeah, and there was an era where he kind of put, he had put himself over a lot. Obviously, you talk about the Goldberg thing, but they can't take away the fact that he had a really he always had pretty solid
Richie,
matches.
Richie, what is your goal? You're gonna be like, all right, good pick. Now let me tell you why it's a bad pick.
I'm about to say something positive.
Hey guys, remember Carlito? Hey, remember how Triple H and
We
know, man. We know the bad things.
We all know WrestleMania 19 was not a good decision.
Yeah, we know that.
I know. I wasn't actually mention that, but he's had good he's had solid matches with Shawn Michaels at this time with The Rock. I think he's got a great eye for the business, and he's a great promo guy. Just a great all-around wrestler who's had to deal with his own sort of tribulations, with being injured for a long time, just for being punished for the curtain call thing, which is and then sort of coming back and and being being one of the best of all time. I don't know if he because he's in charge, he might not want to accept a Hall of Fame induction yet, but he definitely deserves to be in there. He's in with not by himself though. He's in with I want an individual induction. Yeah, because I don't consider China being inducted in the Hall of Fame. I consider DX China just as their own induction. But it's solid. See, I rounded it out with very positive stuff. There you go. It's a solid pick.
My number 4, since my number 5 was punted, my number 4 is The Undertaker. Just one of the best characters of all time, a character that shouldn't have worked, but Mark Calloway got it over, and for 30 years was one of the best in the business. Sure, those later matches weren't great, but he was still someone you were excited to see. When the gong hit, the crowd popped, and for good reason. I think the Hall of Fame speech that he had, some people were complaining that it was too long. I'm like, no, he deserved that time. He gave us, over half his life. Let's give him, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, however long his speech was, which felt like more of a motivational speech than a Hall of Fame induction speech. But
he had the single mic going.
The mic. He looked like a.
I was like, all right, when is he gonna bring the Bible out?
When's he gonna bring out the pyramid scheme and tell us we too can earn money? Yeah.
But all the different incarnations of the character, from the American Badass, the Ministry, he's just a great character, and I loved seeing him on my screen. I think that later run between 2003 to 2010 is probably my favorite. I think he just put on really good matches there because that was also my prime viewing for wrestling that I really remembered. I was a teenager, and it's just what I remember the most. And he was always one that I was excited to see. And it didn't matter who he was in the ring with; he made it work. He even the Great Khali. Sure, they're not great matches, but I wanted to see the Undertaker overcome, and I think it just speaks to the kind of worker that Mark Calloway was. So the Undertaker is my number 4.
All right, Richie, tell him why he's a bad pick.
No. Hot take. I like my favorite Undertaker is Undertaker. Oh, no, anyway.
You're never picking topics again.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would just say, to be fair to his later run, I'd be fair. I feel like he would have decided earlier, but Vince was like, "Hey, here's the money. Well, keep coming back, please. I was like, we need you."
His last great WWE match was in 2013 against CM Punk. So
probably, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably. He probably just makes it outside my top 5. But I respect him a lot. Yeah, obviously the longevity of his career. I think the fact that he can have one of the all-time classic matches with Shawn Michaels at both their ages, definitely how been great there. Both and I think I think he's like I said, the best character of all time. It shouldn't work, but he makes it work. And I think it's a really solid choice. And yeah, it's a shame. It pained me to leave him out. So yeah. But look, but that was all positive, wasn't Jordan? That wasn't totally negative. I like the Undertaker. I like.
All right. So who's your number 4 so we can crap on him?
I don't know if you will actually. To be honest, it's hard to crap on this guy. My number 4 is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Punt.
Oh, that guy. You know, if it wasn't for the curtain call on Triple H, we wouldn't have Stone Cold.
Oh yeah.
Because Triple H was supposed to win King of the Ring that year. That's the. But anyway, Austin, you said punt, so we'll move on to you for your number 4.
My number 4 is my favorite Japanese wrestler. That's Ken Kobashi. I love Ken Kobashi. I've never seen a bad Ken Kobashi match. You go up and look up all of his All Japan stuff, his Noah stuff. Everybody basically up until he retired. My favorite match of all time, Samoa Joe versus Ken Kobashi. There's a reason for that. And he's amazing. He beats the shit out of people, and it's awesome. And he has the greatest chops in the business. Sorry, Ric Flair. You might make an appearance on my list very, very shortly, but Ken Kobashi has the greatest chops of all time. And but he's my favorite Japanese wrestler. I love him, and his stuff with just everybody he worked with and knowing everything. He never really had a bad match. He's awesome. So love Ken Kobashi.
Yeah, no, like solid. I haven't seen as much maybe Ken Kobashi matches as others, but I do. I think he is one of my top tier guy. And solid pick. But I don't have a lot to say because I haven't seen as much matches. But yeah, he's really
he's been having really great matches since like the late '80s in like All Japan with like Stan Henson and Vader and Dr. Death. You know what I mean? Like he's been, and then he had this whole other run and Noah in the early 2000s where he was having 5-star matches with Misawa, and guys like that. So I mean, he's had matches with Kenta, the other Kenta, and that are great, and everything in between. So he's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just haven't seen much. So,
Jordan,
Jordan,
what do you think
on
about
you?
What do you think of Ken Kobashi?
He had a great match with Joe. I agree.
Yeah, that's most people's extent of Ken Kobashi is like, oh yeah, he had a really good Ring of Honor match with Samoa Joe. They haven't really dug into it. I've dug into it. I've got a bunch of his DVDs.
I've seen some Noah stuff too.
There's a ton of stuff on YouTube actually. If you did,
I've also seen the Noah match with Samoa Joe, the rematch.
Yeah, but there's plenty of stuff out there. If you want to watch some really good matches, go watch Ken Kobashi matches. They're always good. So yeah.
So, Jordan, who you got at number 4?
What?
Who do you have at number 4?
What?
Yeah.
Who do you have at number 4?
What? Okay, I'm done.
I guess you're gonna punt anyway.
Yeah, punt. I already punted. So yeah. All right. So Jacob.
All right, my number 3. I had to include him. He was one of my favorites as a teenager, and I still really enjoy his work today. Whenever we see him, it's John Cena. Coming in, Doctor Thugonomics. Whenever we see him, nobody, whatever. No, from the Dr. Thugonomics to that first WWE title run, and then just his US title runs. Like I just enjoy the guy. Like I think he's entertaining on the mic. He puts on really good matches. People talk about his moveset, but if you put him in the ring with the right opponent, like he's gonna deliver. I think the US Open Challenge, those matches, like I think those were some of the best matches of his career. And so like this might be like, hey, I need a pick from my teenage years, and this is it. Like this was the guy when I was a teenager. So I just felt like all time, to encompass my entire, lifetime as a wrestling fan, like John Cena was a big part of it. So I wanted to include him.
Yeah, I think John Cena's great. I did think about him, and I think I wish he did stick with the rapping gimmick more than he did, because I think that's really what really what kind of sold it for me. And obviously he he's had some inspiration because that's that's what Mass Caster does now, the Acclaim. But yeah, and I think he has like really
No, listen.
And he has really good matches, man. He had like a passable match with fucking Great Khali on pay per view. So
I was at that pay per view. That was in Jacksonville, Florida. Where, John Cena, the Extreme Rules thing, right? Yeah, John Cena and the Great Khali. I was there. That was something.
I still think he gave Umaga his best match in WWE.
Yeah, I think that match is really good. I don't subscribe to this idea that he's a bad wrestler. I thought, he's got a few, maybe his moveset's limited, but like I think, he definitely, and he definitely picked it up with with that US Open challenge, and I think all around performer. I think he's fantastic, and I just don't think maybe, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. I understand like the blowback to him with the booking, and maybe sometimes he had a part in that sometimes. But like I think he's definitely I don't know. I do think he's an old timer. I think he's great. So yeah.
All right. So who you got at number 3, Richie?
All right. Well, I know for a fact you're going to punt this. So, but I'll say it anyway. My number 3, Chris Jericho.
Yep, punt.
So
Austin will move to you.
Number 3 is Ric Flair. Has to be
number 6 for me. Like it was...
I could sit and watch Ric Flair promos all day. His crazy ones in WCW, his ones from WWE, just anything.
Jarrett and Lethal beating him in a parking lot a week ago.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, no. The less said about current Ric Flair, the better. But anything pre Shawn Michaels match at WrestleMania, I love Ric Flair. So we'll just say that. And he's great. His old stuff, obviously, with Steamboat, NWA. Like when he was just the king of the world. King of the wrestling business. Awesome. Super entertaining. Super over. Great promos. Great just personality. I mean, he carried himself like a star. He really did. You watch those NWA promos, and I'm better than you, and that's just the way it is. That's what most of his promos were. I'm the king of the world. I'm a star. I'm the best looking guy in the best looking clothes, and that's it. But it works because that's what a world champion should be. So, Ric Flair, awesome.
And to think the dude suffered like a terrible back injury,
and he almost didn't have a wrestling career at all before he even started.
Speaking of Ric Flair, he just came on my screen.
And to think too, technically, one of us could have had him in our current list if we wanted to.
Well, if you wanted to, I'm not going to right now.
Him and Jeff Jarrett.
I guess he's retired now, but like he has since come back and said, "Oh, I wish I didn't use it the word final match because you'd get approached by AAA or something." I'm like, "No, please go." No, he's fantastic. If he did top 10, he'd probably be number 6 as well. He definitely he just knows how to hype match. Like, I'm really, I think he.
We're gonna go back and redo that event, his final match in Nashville.
There's not much, and also coming back from adversity. I think didn't he get struck by lightning as well or something? I think that was the story.
Yeah. He had a great promo in 2005 where he's like, "If God couldn't kill me twice in a plane and with lightning, damn it, Triple H, you ain't gonna kill Ric Flair." Woo! It's a great promo. You should go check. And he has a cut on his head. He starts hitting his head. He's bleeding all over the place. It's awesome. It's so good.
I loved his interactions in WCW with Mean Gene. Woo!
Bischoff, I ain't leaving. And he strips down to his boxer shorts and he's running the ropes. It's the greatest shit ever you ever saw. It's awesome. The best shit ever.
It's like even if he wouldn't know, even if he's feeling off that day, he'll just bring it. You're like, oh man, I really want to play it. He's just so animated, and I think he's fantastic. And then the fact that he was able to have a solid career when he came back to WWE in 2002, and then had that big run. I think. He might show up. But
I know,
yeah,
Jordan. I know we're going long, and I thought we were gonna go short. We're gonna do a snack hero after yours. I promise. I'm hungry.
Oops.
So we're going way too damn long for the topics tonight, but we'll get through it. Yeah.
All right, guys, act like it's movie tournament fights. We done round one. Let's
go.
All right, Jordan, number 3, go.
It was punted, Chris Jericho.
Punt. All right. My number 2. Like, so I had my teenage pick in John Cena. My childhood pick here. My number 2 is Sting. He was the man when I was a kid. Like, I was a WCW guy because my dad was a WCW guy, and that's what we watched. And Sting was like one of those guys. Like, anytime he was on the screen, like, my eyes were glued. And then even his TNA stuff. Like, I really enjoyed his TNA run. Like I even liked the Joker Sting. Like, I thought it was just crazy and out there, and I loved it. His brief WWE run, loved it. I could go back and watch his matches. Watch the mysterious Crow Sting. Like, I think the guy reinvented himself pretty well throughout his career. So my number 2, Sting.
And the fact that he's still like doing stuff and jumping off balconies and stuff, the madman.
Not even I almost included him in my current list, but I was like, no, I'm going to include him on my all-time list. I'll leave him off the current.
All right, Richie.
All right. Number 2 is from my childhood. I mean, me and Jake were the same age, but he was also from a childhood. Number 2, one of the biggest stars in the world, The Rock. So I think there's not much to say about Rock. He's one of the most charismatic dudes ever graced a wrestling ring. His matches are solid, and he's just endlessly entertaining as a babyface or a heel. His Hollywood Rock run, as my favorite era of The Rock, just but from entertainment level, his back and forth with the Hurricane is so funny. I just think that dude's a man. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him versus Roman Reigns, probably
WrestleMania 39. It's gonna happen.
I think that. The Rock is just not just my favorite wrestler, just one of my favorite personalities and celebrity personalities all the time. So yeah, the Rock.
Mm-hmm. Yes, solid pick. If Ric Flair was number 6, The Rock would be number 7. So I like the pick. All right, Austin, number 2.
And we'll finally get to him. Stone Cold Steve Austin's my number 2. So what's there said about Stone Cold? One of the greatest characters of all time, one of the greatest personalities, one of the great, anti-heroes, if you want to put it that way, a guy who doesn't trust anybody, who will beat the shit out of you, who doesn't care, he's out for himself, but he's a working class hero who you love, beats up his boss. It's great. But he could back it up in the ring, have great matches with The Rock, with Triple H, with Foley, with whoever, great matches, even in his WCW career, great matches in ECW. But great matches throughout, history. He just had a charisma and a personality that I don't think has been really matched since, really, just the pops he would get were just incredible. So, one of the greats of all time. Steve Austin.
This dude literally is the attitude of the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so much fun, man. And being a '90s kid, what a good time to see the rise of Stone Cold. Every week, you tune in on Monday to see what he would do. From Zambonis to Beer Fest, is just stunning everybody, including the boss, who never took a good stunner, still to this day. But man, Stone Cold, absolutely a goat. Him, Hogan, Cena, I think are like the 3 that are unobjectively like they were just the masters of their time zones. And what a bump wrestling got in the late '90s because of Stone Cold.
Also a really great interviewer now, and on podcast. And and also if we assume we'll do it eventually, like top finishing moves or something like that, Stunner will be up there. I think the Stunner it's very simple, and it's like one of those ones where it's like you never know when when he's going to hit it, and I think I think Austin's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. He would be number 8. I guess I'm not as high as you guys are, but
what?
Yeah. What? I wanted to include some. I wanted to include like some earlier favorites as well. So,
all right.
Yeah, no, Austin can't deny his impact on the business.
Yeah.
So,
especially the watch end. Yeah, like
What?
they even did it to Jungle Boy on Dynamite, and he gave the crowd a look like stop it, and they stopped.
They were doing it to Austin Theory like a week or two ago. Yeah, I mean, like it's still going to this day. Yeah, so yeah, something. All right, JP.
And props to his WrestleMania match with Kevin Owens too. I didn't expect him to take some of the bumps he did.
I actually wonder. I feel like there's probably a section of the crowd that doesn't even know where what began, and they're still doing it. It's the thing.
Daddy, why are they saying what? Do they not hear him? What? All right, Jordan, you're number 2.
Oh yeah. So it was my number 1 earlier.
Your mic's a little muffled, by the way. Like sounds like you're underwater.
Yeah.
You're muffled.
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
There you go.
I was right up on it. I was making out with it.
Yeah.
Ew.
And speaking of making out, this guy's made out with a lot of female wrestlers. CM Punk. What a transition I just had. I've been a fan of Punk since day one. Great feud with Raven over on the Indies, MLW and TNA, Ring of Honor. And then finally transitioning. Well, before the transition, great match with Samoa Joe. One of my favorite matches. The Chris Hero was IWA Mid-South stuff, and then finally getting a shot in WWE, something that he had to work very hard for. Evidently, they were going to give up on him at one point, but he got over with the crowd. Finally got that title, great Money in the Bank moment. Just so glad to see him back. That was one of the feel-good moments, I think, of the decade, is his return. And, I just been a huge CM Punk guy.
Yeah, no, good pick.
Yeah. All time. I would say,
yeah, no, he's definitely worthy of both lists. Another guy that is worthy of both lists, even though I didn't put him on my current list, but I could have. My number 1, he's been punted, and now we can finally talk about him. Chris Jericho. I mentioned John Cena and Sting. Like one was a teenager pick. Sting was a childhood pick. Jericho is like both, and the current, like he's just been there the entire time. Like I know HBK could have, but like I said, I was a WCW guy as a kid because my dad was, and so I didn't really watch a lot of HBK. So that's why he's a little lower, and Jericho is number 1 because I, since like '95, since like we remember watching wrestling, like Jericho has been a constant, and the way he has been able to reinvent himself and just come up with new gimmicks, whether he's a face or a heel, like he just does it all really well. And he's a really good in-ring performer. He got a piece of paper over, the list. He's just great. And who doesn't love a little Judas? Like, that might be like one of the best entrance songs of all time now. Even as a heel, he's still got people singing it when he enters, and the music stops and the crowd still finishes it for him. Like the dude has been in the business for like 900 years and is still as over now as he was, when he came to WWE for the first time, or when he returned, or when he went to New Japan, or wherever he was. He was just killing it. Like I know this is a favorites list, but like if you were to poll like 100 people who their favorite wrestler was, I wouldn't be surprised if Jericho was one of the majority votes. Like, dude is just awesome.
Yeah, no, solid. He's my number 3 for it. But yeah, he was my number. I thought about.
But his match with Masahiro Chono on Souled Out was just not very good.
Oh yeah, the Chono wasn't good, but he's like you said, I can't really add much. The reinvention of him is really good. They're just he can play a heel, he can play a babyface, and he's I think eventually he will transition to be a great commentator. I mean, Judas definitely got Fozzy over. Name another Fozzy song. That's like the
King of My World.
name a follow song that's not associated with wrestling.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like
I mean, props to the band for going as long, because we did SummerSlam 2002, and Fozzy was there.
Yeah.
Or Fozzy was not there, but they showed a clip of Fozzy at the Raw before it.
Mhm.
So
yeah. And no, he, like a fantastic guy. Yeah, like I think my favorite era Jericho still is like when he was, when he's feuding with Shawn Michaels and he came out in the suits and he was sort of
his 2008 year was fantastic.
2008 year one when he was doing the whole like and then cutting promos like he was reading a thesaurus, like doing big saying bigger words. I think Jericho is fantastic as an old timer, and definitely one of the goat, one of the goat.
Yeah, on my list as well, and as it also shows you how good he is. He's on the majority of our list. As you guys said, reinvention, the match quality is there, the promo quality is there, and still one that I also look at longevity too sometimes. And this is a dude that's been having bangers since the early to mid 90s, and we're now in 2022, and he's still challenging for world titles, and is in great shape. He's in the best shape he's been in a couple of years, so he's still trying and coming up with catchphrases, and it's fun to watch.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was a little worried for him during his match with Moxley, though. He busted himself open pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty hard way.
Yeah. And I couldn't remember. Austin, was he on your list?
No.
No,
but he'd be in like a top 15 or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so Richie, we'll move on to you. You're number one.
Number one is a guy that I think is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, and considering he, I think the most improvement I've seen of a guy that has got, from debut until when all time, I just think he's a great babyface, great heel. I'm gonna go Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is my favorite wrestler. I love Kurt Angle. I think he's just a phenomenal wrestler. Considering he came from an amateur background, and just got WWE straight away. He got character work. He got how and he became one of the best wrestlers ever. And he's good as a vindictive heel, or loving babyface, but he's also good he's also good at the comedy, the goofball comedy. He's great at his his interactions with Austin when they're both heels is quite entertaining.
When he's just a super dork. Yeah.
He's a dork, but he makes it work. It's great. I think he has solid matches here. I'm disappointed that he in his time matches with like Baron Corbin of all people. I think it should have been with John Cena. Absolutely. And just a cool dude, man. Like his podcast is really good. And I don't know. I think I really enjoy all aspects of him. I think he's got a great personality, and it had to do with his own sort of demons. And then when he came, and then he got he left WWE and went to TNA, and he had like some of his TNA matches, some of the best of his career. Him and Joe is fantastic. Him and Nigel McGuinness. Go watch that. It was Desmond Wolfe. That's a really, really good. They had really solid matches. So Kurt Angle is my favorite, and I absolutely love Kurt Angle. So that's my number one.
Nice. You know what Kurt Angle match doesn't get talked about enough? No Way Out 2006 against The Undertaker. They go nearly 30 minutes, and that match is fantastic. So I just want to
people also talk about the two Undertaker Shawn Michaels matches. The Shawn Michaels Kurt Angle WrestleMania match is really fucking good too. That match is great also. So yeah.
You know how when we did our WrestleMania,
you know how Michaels match? No.
No, really. Those guys had an amazing match. Yeah, really. It's so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Shawn Michaels here in a minute because Jordan's coming up. Spoilers, but before that, we got to talk about Austin's number one.
When you talk about just favorite pure wrestlers of all time, I mean, it's still been number one for me. For a long time, it's still Chris Benoit. for me. Like, despite like the tragic ending of the story and the fact that that's it put a stain on everything. I cannot think of a bad Chris Benoit match ever. And the fact that one of my favorite Chris Benoit matches is a match that nobody gives a shit about, and it's amazing. He had a match with Viscera on a Beat the Clock Raw one time, and it was incredible. It's like an incredible, like it's the best 7-minute match you'll ever see. He made him look good. He could have a match with anybody and make it exciting, make it intense, make it hard hitting. Matches with big guys, matches with small guys, lucha guys, whoever, it didn't matter. Just the most intense wrestler maybe ever, of all time, and a guy who could just go in there and have a banger and just a pure wrestling match, and just amazing stuff, man. I will forever love. I don't care what anybody says. I will forever love Chris Benoit as a wrestler. I think he's one of the best.
No arguments here.
Yeah.
I was thinking about him, but I would say like he's what maybe like you could angle Chris Benoit like the sort of the two best sort of pure wrestlers to me. And their matches are fantastic. The Ultimate Submission match at Backlash is really good. But he could have good matches with anybody. There's a match, obviously Eddie Guerrero. There's a match on Nitro where him and Eddie Guerrero wrestled. He gave Eddie Guerrero the sickest powerbomb I've ever fucking seen. The ring shook. It was fucking. It's like how does this guy?
Richie, he had a really fun match with Ice Train.
Yeah, he did.
Like he could have a great match with anybody. He had one of the greatest squashes of all time where he just beat the shit out of David Flair for 5 minutes. It's great. You watch it. You know what I mean? Like he can make anything entertaining. He was awesome, and he was just over in that way. People knew when he was another guy when he wasn't the biggest guy in the world, obviously, but when he came out there, the crowd knew he was going to beat the shit out of somebody. You knew somebody was going to get their ass whipped. So that was a cool quality to have when you're not even a big guy. Like he's a threat.
It's almost a shame that he's like in a different era because like he'd be like if he was around today, he'd be great in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Oh yeah,
perfect. He'd be amazing. And
I still think he has the greatest WrestleMania main event match. While I love the Daniel Bryan moment, the triple threat between him, HBK, and Triple H is probably still my favorite main event.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, hit us with that surprise number one.
All right, guys. Fantasio. When him and Mike Bell and he threw out the underwear.
We just talked about him. It's Viscera.
No, let's see.
Big Daddy V.
It's Shawn Michaels. It's Shawn Michaels.
What?
Yeah. That's one of those, we've talked about before. I think he's the GOAT, man. Again, right before Stone Cold kind of took over, he was kind of the first who that really caught my eye. His first big real singles face run. I'm very, very upset when he collapsed in the ring with Owen and he just wasn't sure if he was going to come back. But he came back. He won it. No, not yet. He outside with the Rumble, and then he won at Mania. The boyhood dream came true, and my boyhood dream was coming true when I saw his dream come true. And I promos having fun. I love heel DX Shawn when he doesn't give an F. I love the return. What a great match he has with Triple H at SummerSlam 02 that we talked about recently. All the way to the end when his last match with Taker. That's right, Mania's last match with Taker. There is no tag match that follows. There's just one last match with Taker at a Mania. I had a weird fever dream where I was sweating and there was like Kane and his mask fell off and anywho. So
there was a weird like bald guy in his clothes. It was weird. Like I don't know who that was.
The bald guy did a
figure out of it, and I was like, why would you make a figure? Who wants to remember this? And but hey, at the end of the day, I'm sure he bought a boat and was able to go to Italy with his hot wife later. So you know what? Whatever. We'd all do the same. So Shawn Michaels is my number one.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He probably got paid like $1 million for that match. You know what I mean? Realistically, like
none of us would stay different.
It's like, come on, I'm retired and I got a chance to make like 7 figures in one night. Yeah, we'd all do the same thing. Come on, let's not pretend like we wouldn't. I mean, come on.
Plus, I'm bald guy in that match completely missed a moonsault and then on his face. But I don't know if that was. No. Like it's a solid number one. Either one of my five could have easily started number one. not much more to say. But yeah, he's fantastic. It always shows up, and yeah, like he would have matches with good matches with people who
He's a dude that gave us the who could wrestle a broomstick. You know what I mean? That started with him.
Yeah, but yeah, like he had good matches with people who otherwise aren't good. Like back when Chris, he had a good match with Unforgiven with Chris Masters. All people. I was like, okay. He had one of the best Raw matches all the time with and the best finishes with Shelton Benjamin, where he just fucking kicks him out of midair. That's amazing. But solid number one. I mean, yeah, I was expecting to talk about number one with Jordan, but that does make. But I understand.
Yeah, I said it before. I'll say it again. I think his run after he came back in 2002 was even better than his original run. I think he had even better matches.
Yeah, and that's the run I saw.
Yeah.
Because WCW, I've said that before, so I didn't really watch his pre-2002 run. So that's the run I've seen bits and pieces of his career before. I haven't gone back and watched his entire pre-back injury run. I don't have that much time on my hands, but I've seen bits and pieces of the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania. So yeah, he's really he could be anywhere on this list and I'd be okay with it. Number 5, I just was making a quick ordering. I was like, okay, HBK 5. Sorry, this guy's so good. According to Pro Wrestling Illustrated, in 2006, the match of the year was him versus Vince McMahon. He carried Vince McMahon to a match of the year, according to PWI.
That's good.
And I don't know what else I don't know what else happened in 2006, but he had a 5-year run where he had a 7-year run from 2004 to 2010, where PWI gave him a match of the year. Most of those happening at WrestleMania. The only one not is the John Cena match from Raw in 2007.
That's good, man. That's great. That's one of the best, one of the better Raw matches. But also check out if you want to check out old school Shawn Michaels matches. He had a really good match with Mankind at Bad Blood 1 year. It was really.
Or was that the Mind Games match, or was that?
It might be Mind Games. Yeah,
Mind Games was great. Yeah, that was a good match.
It's a
great
match.
And yeah, the first and can some consider still one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches. Him and the Undertaker, the first Hell in a Cell. Great, awesome.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, those are some solid lists. I like them. Good job, guys.
All right.
A little bit of a longer
news
episode
of the week.
Shout out to Kenny Omega for returning and moving on in the trios tournament in AEW.
And Europe, I think.
Yeah, not that nobody saw Kenny Omega being the Young Bucks partner in the trios tournament, but it's nice to see him back after almost a year.
If you watch
away.
Being the Elite, you know it even from that.
Right. As soon as Paige turned him down, it's like, oh, okay, so it's Omega.
I won't go into it, but I do like the storyline they told where it was he wasn't his full self, and he was botching a few things. But I like that story. So I'm interested to see where they go with here, but they're obviously winning the titles.
Yeah. So, no, this was a fun episode. You can see Richie here. He's always here, no matter what episode it is. Tournament Fight, Tier Anchor, Lonely Marks. He's here. He's kind of the go-to guy. Hey, we need somebody. Call Richie. Austin's always here, doing the same thing, but in a co-host role. And you can see him in probably 15 minutes or so doing a snack hero, even though it's after midnight where he is, and
it's almost 1 in the morning when here. Yeah, and I have to go to work in a couple of hours. So but you know what? Whatever, it's all right. So it's all good.
And Jordan over at the Pierce Co. Movie Trivia, Pierce Wrestling, exclusive matches, wrestling trivia. The King of WWT is still going on. JB3, I'm coming for you. So go subscribe over there because that's a lot of fun both places. And then I'm here as well, doing this and a podcast about movies. Austin and I have decided, because we do a lot of prep for these, that we're going to start going on an every other week basis. So there will be no episode this week, but next week before the Lonely Marks. This is the first time that Jordan and Richie are hearing this, but the Lonely Marks next week will be going at 11 because Austin and I will be doing a podcast about movies at 9. We will be doing a musical episode.
I might have misread my schedule. I think I might be working until 10. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe. So
I don't know. It might. We'll figure. We'll do it at some point next week. We'll figure it out.
It's the beauty of real life and schedules.
Yeah, schedules suck.
But it happens. We'll be talking musicals at some point. Sorry to, rush the plugs on you guys. I know sometimes you like to do it yourself, but we've been here for a long time, and I'm tired. I have to go to bed, and that's Richie. That's Austin.
Pardon? Can't hear you. Pardon?
I said, what would you do if Nash?
What? I'm sorry. What? Pardon?
Let's move on to the next woman. Anywho, Gladys.
I can't hear you.
If Scott Norton flashed you, would you show him
anything he wanted?
Just remember that we're not doctors, but I'm pretty sure the oxygen doesn't go over the ice.
Pardon?